fighting for you. He's fighting for me. He'll bring that home.
AM 560 KVLU. Russ Clark with you. And of course, it's Wednesday, which means you could find a microphone, Dean.
Wow.
Yeah. I say you're sitting there, but you need a microphone. Yeah. You'll need that.
Well, I am glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you. It's Wednesday already.
Yeah.
Which is a good day. I've been and like we always talk about the air, I'm usually better prepared today. I've been on the phone with people all morning to call me wishing me well for my Friday, pacemaker. So I haven't done anything. No, I've done a lot, but not what I
Well,
usually
you always have a lot going on, so it's not like you could ever be totally unprepared.
No, I pay attention.
You're walking, you're
I'm
alive,
listening.
You're prepared.
I'm watching the news. I'm listening.
Now, I've got something a little quirky that's interesting to me because I've been doing this research on how effective handguns are when fired in defense against bear.
Yeah.
Well, my brother mentioned to me yesterday that there was a defensive use of a handgun against bears in Slovakia. Well, it turns out Slovakia has a bear problem. They've been having a fair number of bear attacks, and the number of European brown bears, which is the same bear as our grizzly bear, essentially. There's not much difference. They're the same species, it's just slight variation. And so this forester and his son were out doing timber cruising, which is where you walk through the forest and you're making notes and figuring out how much timber of what kind is available in the woods. And they get attacked by a European brown bear, grizzly bear. And the father fires several shots, it says, but the bear gets him down.
Oh.
And then the son manages to finish killing the grizzly bear with a shot by a handgun. Now, there's so many details we don't know about in this, like, did they both have handguns? Did the father lose control of the handgun and then the son pick it up?
Did he miss?
Yeah, all this stuff we don't know and so I was searching for it. Well, when I was searching to try to get more information, which I was unsuccessful at getting more information, but I did confirm that it was real, and the Slovakian Minister of Environmental Control or whatever, I'm not sure of the exact title, confirmed it. I was talking about it in a news article. But while I was searching, I came up, there was another one that happened in 2023. So there's two confirmed cases of handgun being used in defense against bears in Slovakia. Now, the reason this is very unusual is because European has these super tight draconian controls on who can carry handguns around. Well, Slovakia obviously allows its citizens more leeway than most of the rest of Europe. And so that's why we had it in this case. Now, there are a couple other European instances. There was one in Germany where a police officer shot an escaped brown bear with his 9mm. So these things happen, but usually it's self-official because only the officials are allowed to have handguns.
Right.
So that caught my attention. I thought it was interesting.
And you mentioned that you've been using AI.
Yes,
and you've been using Grok.
Right.
And when you asked Grok about this, they said it doesn't exist.
Right. Initially, they said it didn't exist, which
it surprises me, and it kind of tarnishes what I think AI is, but I guess I just don't understand it.
Well,
you do more.
I had to direct it toward particular articles, and I even said, search for this particular phrase, and I took a sentence right out of the article that I had looked at, and then it could find it. And I asked it particularly, search Slovakian sources, and it found them. And in fact, that's one of the ways that's the way that I found the 2023 incident.
Because you already know about it.
I didn't know about the 2023 incident. I knew about the one that happened 2 days ago.
But Grok didn't search all the records like you thought it would.
Exactly. It didn't. It had to be directed toward particular sources. And it's just a very powerful tool. I am going to continue using it. And the one that I'm using is a slightly upgraded version. You have to pay a little bit of money for it. But it's just so powerful. And I was using it, as I mentioned, to build a spreadsheet, which of course anybody can do. But Grok was extremely helpful to me because I'd ask it a question about using this particular spreadsheet program. And, this is happening. And it'd say, oh, yes, that's a bug in this particular version. Here's how you get around it. Here's the commands you give. Try this, try that. It was like a well-educated tutor on this spreadsheet telling me how to make my use of it better.
You you believe, I would imagine, that there's a lot of improvements to be made to AI, though.
Oh, yes. But it's happening fast.
Something else interesting that you told me while you were doing this spreadsheet, you weren't quite getting it the way you wanted, so you asked AI how to fix it, and they gave you a tutorial on how
Exactly.
to fix the spreadsheet,
Exactly.
which is surprising.
I mean,
Hmm.
but it makes sense to me that AI would be really good at understanding software.
Yeah.
And I, I for much of my life, I considered myself sort of on the cutting edge of using computers. I mean, in the field that I was in, meteorology uses computers a lot. We helped develop some extremely sophisticated um, programs at Proving Ground for weather um, forecasting, and I, but the pace of change in the technology is so fast, and there's so much you can't possibly know everything.
I got to
So,
say that I'm surprised you jumped into it. I didn't see you as getting on the AI bandwagon.
well, it's a useful tool. Actually, a, I have two brothers. My other brother sent me an article about how useful AI was, and it was some buddy who does a podcast about it. And my other brother has been using it, and he says, "Look at this. This is going on." And so I'd been interested, and that caused me to make the jump and actually get in there. And it's well worth
And
it.
yeah, then, like you said, you're paying a small fee for an upgrade, but it's worth it to you.
Definitely worth it to me.
Saved you in some research, saved you in putting spreadsheets
All
together.
kinds of stuff. I mean, it just but you have to recognize that it's not a super intelligence. I mean, and that it has its own quirks, and you
It's
have to really
it still sounds more
learn to use it.
it sounds like an algorithm, but that gives you tutorials at the same time. But I guess,
It's a very powerful tool, but
but you're
it,
not
it
dissatisfied with it.
I'm not dissatisfied with it, but I found it has a lot of limitations.
Yeah.
I mean, it will it will tell you things that aren't true.
Well, I gave you a homework assignment because you said you'll do it if you remember. But
Yeah, if I
but that's
remember.
fine. But I saw a YouTube video guy posted about his frustration with AI because he was interested in these mass shootings on how many of them now are transgender related because we have a lot of transgenders that have gone bonkers and start shooting people.
Yes, it's
And
way beyond their population.
and AI came up, oh, there are none. There are none. And he went to Grok, he went to ChatGPT, and he had to feed them. Well, I'm reading an article. It's right here. It says article and stuff.
Yes, yes.
He says because AI is not coming up with the information
Well, and
and it's available.
I had a similar situation in that I'd written an article about the 9 people that have died at being by bear attack after bear spray was used in the incident, in 8 incidents. The last
Yeah.
one was the 2 people up in Canada in Banff National Park. And so I asked Grok, how many human fatalities have there been where bear spray has been used in bear attacks? And it came back with an answer right away. None, 0.
Which bothers me.
And
Yeah, and you explained it that it was looking at and it told you I look at peer review.
well, yes, I mean, I had to dig a little bit, but
You
it was
dug.
getting the number from a paper that I had read and I was quite familiar with, which said that people had researched the use of bear spray and they had never found a case where somebody died where bear spray was used. But the limitation was when the paper was written and what geographic and time limits they had on it, which were in such a way that it excluded all the cases where people died when bear spray was
See,
used.
but they didn't really tell you that.
Right. And so, well, the paper explains its limitations. I'm not saying the paper
Okay.
is the line, but the AI looked at that scientific paper and then in back and forth, essentially it said, well, the reason that your examples of where bear spray is used are wrong because this is a scientific paper and your examples are just anecdotal.
So
Of course, the scientific paper depended on anecdotes. That's the data.
right, and you said it heavily weighted the scientific papers, peer reviews, and all that. Which peer reviews just mean your buddies that work in the same office reviewed it. Said, yeah, it's good.
Unfortunately, peer review has become a joke,
Yeah,
and there are so many journals, quote journals, that are out there. And so, if you have a group of like-minded people who are researchers or scientists, they'll create
yeah,
a journal, or they'll take over a journal, and then if your friends who run the journal see your paper, well, it tends to be peer reviewed okay.
yeah.
Uh, and so
Fauci was good at that.
it's just unfortunate that we need a better process. Peer review used to mean people who were in the field would look critically at your paper and try to find flaws in it.
Right.
Now,
Now it's affirmation.
now it seems to be my buddies who are co-authors with me on other papers look at this and say, "Yeah, that's fine." You know, it's just a flaw in the way the system has developed.
It's distressing.
It is, and we have a really horrible situation in peer-reviewed papers where there's been research that found that most of them are not replicable.
Right.
I mean, and that's the gold standard for science is, can I replicate this? Well, if somebody has, in particularly in climate modeling, you can't replicate it unless you have data. And people won't release the data. Or if they do release the data, it's a highly edited set. So it's a real problem because if you can't replicate, it's not science.
Right.
And that's part of the situation I'm having in the whole bear stuff. I realize that's not of interest to most people, but it's a field I've dealt with a lot, and I've become subject matter expert in it, is that if you can't get the basic data that's used in the studies, you can't really be sure whether it's valid or not.
Well, I told you about Edwards' paper on climate change data. That's what he was after. He was after data, and, make sure that they're following their rules and all that stuff. And they don't, basically, which we know that. And like I think you told me at the time when I told you about that. Well, that's been public knowledge. There's been some articles written about certain stations. Well, he went and looked at all of them. And of course, they try to discredit him and all of that.
Yeah, that's one of the big issues in the idea of how much warming, or trying to measure how much warming goes on, is what's called the urban heat island effect.
Right.
And so you might have put a station near an airport, which was outside of town, 50 years ago. Well, now the town has expanded, and now there's a lot more buildings around. There's a lot more concrete.
And you have an air conditioning exhaust right next to the.
Very possibly. And
he found some. He took pictures of them.
And it might raise the temperature on the average by half a degree or even more.
He found 3 degrees centigrade. That's like 8 degrees.
Well, it's like 5.
Is it 5?
Yeah.
Oh,
because a degree centigrade is like 1.8.
1.8, almost 2.
Almost 2.
So 3 would be 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, he wrote this all up, and every pictures and all that kind of stuff. But the scientists seem to clump together and reject any kind.
Well, and this is part of the problem with the journals that I'm talking about, is that there's so much money and status available to people who promote this. I'm going to call it a hoax of global warming. It's really not just global warming, because there has been warming. I mean, it's the question of, is it anthropogenically caused? How much? And is there anything we can do about it? There's a lot of serious questions. And, the people who promote it tend to try to exclude others and to discredit them.
Right. And that's what's going on with him and his paper. And it's not published yet, but it's hopefully going to be. But there's steps to be taken to stop it, from being published.
Well, we know that this actually did happen in cases, and there have been researchers, climatologists, who either were basically forced out of their position because of their arguments against some of the papers that promote the whole climate change thesis.
Well, and I think our problem is science isn't what it used to be. It's more of a group and a clique now than it is.
It's when the scientific method was being developed, science was conducted almost entirely by relatively wealthy individuals who had the time to do experiments.
Right.
And they would write up a paper and they'd send it around to everybody else by mail because there wasn't any other way to do it. And those people would make comments, and then you would make improvements. Somebody would also try that experiment. Oh yeah, we replicated the results, and then would gain credibility. But especially after World War II, the government started funding scientific research,
and that's where we get in. Yes, that's where we get into these clubs,
and so you have
and they live on
a huge amount of money going into it, and we've made enormous progress. I mean, we've learned incredible things, and I'm not saying science entirely should be discredited, but the problem is money is a tremendous motivator.
Right, and to keep the money flowing, you've got to give. A lot of times, the government that sends money is politically connected, and you got to give those politicians, some kind of advantage.
Well, if the people who send the money want a particular answer, which is not the way you want it to work, that's commonly happens.
They're only going to keep funding.
They're going to get the answer they want, because if you don't give them the answer you want, they'll fund somebody else.
And I suggest to you that's been happening.
I think it has been happening, and it's a serious problem. There have been some proposals about how we might work around this to get some better process than what is now called the peer review process. So I think we need to do that.
The peer review process tends to go out to others that are getting government money.
Well, exactly. And we've seen, we even had discussions. There was a whole scandal that blew up on email discussions that were centered in England, and I forget the name precisely. But in the discussion, they basically said, we have to discredit this, we have to discredit that, because they wanted to promote the global warming. At that time, it was global warming.
Yeah.
Change it to climate change. Global warming, you can falsify. If the Earth doesn't warm, you can say it's not warming. Climate change, you can't falsify, because no matter what happens, it's climate change.
Do you know I read this article this morning on one of the top science societies. They have a lot of societies, and this one's called the American Association for the Advancement of Science, AAAS. They just held a Phoenix Convention Center conference, February 12th to 14th, just last week.
Cool.
Just did that, and I got a lot of I got an article here that talks a lot about the attitude and what was going on and some of the quotes and stuff. And while it was being held, it said they went there as a journalist, and they were greeted at the registration with identifier stickers that used gender pronouns such as they, them, X, or X, X, and stuff. And they had you to verify your gender, which for me is a real indication to begin with I'm in the wrong place.
Well, right. But I mean, I wonder if they'd put it on, Skull of Grayskull or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I put down. Yeah. Power of Grayskull.
Power of Grayskull.
I've had somebody do that to me and tell me they approach me and say, "Hey, Power of Grayskull, Russ." I thought that was awesome. This guy his name's Supid Parekh. He's a doctor there, CEO of AAAS. And at the opening night, after they had a traditional native dancers 10 minutes routine, which is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. We're in the native area. He told the audience it's hard and tough year for science and scientists in the country. That was the first words out of his mouth. It's a hard and tough year, which piques my interest.
Yeah, that's right.
Bit. Like, okay, what's tough? He says, Doge. Well, Doge is a government program to clean up government waste.
Right.
So he blamed Doge for the devastation of some of our science agencies and the president's budget requests. They cut science in half, and it amounted to forfeiting the future. Oh man, and you know, and that's his start. Is that we're in big trouble because of Trump.
Yeah.
Trump is cutting science, what they consider science. He said, "What happened over the course of the last year is a rupture. We're not going back. It's not possible. Too much damage has been done. Too much has changed. This is an entire generation of scientists that have a scar that's going on to not go away, not going away. Scars can make us tougher and become almost shields that build resilience." And that's a profound statement to me. It's kind of hunkered down, hold up your shield. We'll get through this and be back to wokeness.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. It said scars. We warned that last year, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was the wrong person. He said, I did that last year for a Health and Human Service Secretary. I still feel that way. And this is the opening statements from the CEO of the American Association for the Advancement of Science.
Right.
He said it's going to take protest. Now, this is a scientist.
Right.
It's going to take protests. It's going to take politics. It's going to take the ability to not speak gibberish. I don't understand that comment, but all of that has got to come together if we're going to fight for the inheritance of the Enlightenment to continue to make this world a better place.
Yeah, well, it's unfortunate because there's so much in there that just isn't.
This is the head of one of the biggest associations for advancement of science.
Right.
Which it sounds like it's advancement of government science.
Exactly. That's exactly what it sounded like. We have a right to taxpayer money.
We're at the trough. You can't take the trough.
You can't take this away from us. And it's the only way science can be done.
Because we're doing great things. What's your pronoun?
Yeah.
One of the workshops events provided gender-neutral washrooms. I don't know if that was in the building or if that's really was set up by that. I don't know. Then it would be unfair if it's just a building. Mao Me Lu, nurturing diversity in science is resistance. That was the session titled. Nurturing diversity in science is resistance.
Well,
what does that mean? Nurturing diversity? That's a scientific,
of course, not.
Workshop?
Well, it may have been workshopping this, but I wouldn't call it particularly scientific. It's political.
It's for investigating the role of race in clinical decision making. Now, and I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Is race important in decision making? Maybe. I don't know. I'd be curious more contact. But how could race make a difference on gravity?
Well, I think if they were looking at medicine, perhaps.
Because different races have different reactions?
No, because doctors, they're looking at, could doctors have a bias by race, I think is what it is. But it's on the very edge of what I would consider science at all. Yeah. It's sort of a social science issue.
Well, yeah. Well, it goes on. It says, who gets to belong? ? Disability, power, participation in higher education. So it's about affirmative action.
Right.
It's about DEI.
About politics.
And these are the workshops that are going on for an American Association for the Advancement of Science. This, to me, has very little to do.
You see, from my viewpoint, what's happening here is that after World War II, the left, well, actually before it, I would say back around the 1890s, 1900, one of the things that Marx hit upon to promote his scheme was to claim it was scientific.
Right.
And so ever since then, the left has used the label science as a bludgeon to claim that's what it's doing is legitimate because it's, quote, science.
We hear from politicians all the time. I stand with science.
Exactly.
So,
but they don't really. They're just using the label as a way to advance their agenda.
They tag everything. Like,
if you don't agree with me, you're anti-science.
DEI is science.
I want this program because it's science says so.
Well,
but it doesn't really. And Fauci's a great poster child for where you use science as a shield to hide your politics.
He says he is science.
Yeah, right.
You remember that? I am science.
Yeah.
So you cannot defy me.
Like, who is it? The French king that said, Lestat, it's just moi. The state is me. Science is I. You know.
Dr. Teresa McDonald is a world-renowned expert in electrical engineering. She delivered a president's address and lamented what a difficult year 2025 was. It's hard for me to imagine going to a science thing and having them whine it was a difficult year for science.
It's not hard for me to understand. Look, I was a
Really?
government scientist for my career.
All right.
I worked with the military. I ran meteorology teams. We collected data in support of research, development, testing, and evaluation. That's what I did. So my career has all been funded by government money. I mean, one of the reasons is because it's hard to find jobs as a meteorologist outside of government. There are some, but in general, most meteorologists work for the government.
Yes.
And there's good reasons for that.
Well, this Teresa, Dr. Teresa, expert in electrical engineering, went on to say that it was a terrible year for science and suggested it was climate change that was responsible for devastating Southern California wildfires last year. That's
not very scientific.
She didn't mention that the
forest management.
Forest management was terrible. They drained the water from some of the reservoirs, didn't have water available.
Right.
There were like 100 fire trucks inoperable.
Right.
But it was climate change. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Good morning, Russ.
Good morning, Ted.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Doing well.
Well,
So don't you ruin it.
Huh?
Don't ruin it.
Don't ruin it. If you just see what I went through the last hour, you wouldn't say that. Anyway, her what she left out of that paper, that her discussion about climate change, was that the effect of the climate on the potato crops in Russia and Ukraine is directly the cause. That should have been the truth of it, because she had been drinking too much vodka, but she got cut off on the vodka to spare it all.
Oh, so you're making excuses for it. It was a vodka excuse.
Right.
Because of potatoes in Ukraine.
Because the potato
Right,
crop.
exactly. Right. That was the truth of what she should have said.
All right.
All the potato crops are destroyed from war.
Yeah, I agree with that, but that's climate change probably that caused it somehow. Who knows?
Climate change, you can never disprove it, because the climate and weather is related to everything. So you can always make the claim that climate change caused it.
But how can they use Southern California? We now know. We know the problem.
Let me show you how they get to this thing. We're missing 16 cross country skiers somewhere over there that were skiing
In the Olympics?
No. It was some group of. They found 9 of them, I think. But anyway, this is how that works. Climate caused this. Our destruction of the climate. The surface temperature rose 3 degrees. The snowpack started to liquefy. They started screaming and yelling, and the avalanche started. And that's because we've polluted the atmosphere so bad. Right, Dean?
Well, it's a convenient excuse.
We never had an avalanche, so climate change?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Do you hear the man get killed by the tree falling in the woods if you're not there?
No, you can't hear it.
Well,
we discovered the skeleton years later.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's gotten crazy. But for them to take the these big conference and whine that they're getting no attention, not getting enough money, and climate change is causing all problems in the world, which I'm convinced at this point that climate change is a lie.
Climate change happens all the time.
It's a lie as they frame it.
Yes.
Dean, look, who paid for your college? I'm just curious. Did your parents pay for it, or did you have to,
Well, it was mostly
funding
me.
Right.
My parents helped a little bit at the beginning, but mostly I self-funded.
Okay, let's go to the Ivy League people that go to college, okay?
Yeah.
What perpetuates their parents to want to funnel out that money to pay for their college? To make them
social status. They feel good if they're sending their kids to Ivy Leagues, they go brag about it.
Right. And do you think that might have a bearing on their rationalization of the stuff that they learn? Doesn't it perpetuate their
Well, the Ivy League
beliefs?
colleges built a reputation because they produced excellence for a long time. Then
Yeah.
they were taken over by this woke ideology, and the reputation has lasted longer than is called for.
Right. Well, do you not believe that during the Second World War we dropped the atomic bombs on Japan and all, and here in the United States in Nevada and all? Do you believe that form of higher education coming from the government was a good thing? What it's caused and still causing to this
We've
day?
we have had enormous benefits from government funded science.
Yeah, NASA.
And we
Yeah.
have some problems as well. So it's a mixed bag.
We have had some great deals. But right now, I just feel like we got this huge bureaucracy that call themselves scientists that just suck up money and create problems that they can go fix.
So that is a real thing, but it's not quite the only. There's still positive things. I mean, I don't want to do away with the Weather Service.
Yeah.
That's science basically funded.
Do you think that Eli Whitney would have ever invented the cotton gin if it was left up to the government?
It's not an
Do you?
either or, but most inventions before, say, 1950 were individuals that figured out how to do something. Some corporations as
Yeah.
well. And what we find is that government funding education so that people are literate helps. The more educated the population you get, as long as you don't make it doctrinaire, indoctrination in political terms.
And that's how it's changed.
But what we find is that people are very inventive, and they figure they can get money from the program if they produce the results some politicians want.
And I still think that we get better results by going to individuals like they did with SpaceX. NASA figured out that we're kind of caught in bureaucracy. We'll get SpaceX to build it for us. We'll just pay him. And he's spending 10 cents on the dollar for what the government would do.
Right. But it's the government has to be there to create the system, to stabilize the system of a rule of law, of having courts,
Absolutely correct.
Of protecting private property. All of that is a structure under which Elon Musk could create his businesses that are transforming the world.
And Musk isn't alone. I mean, there's been Skunk Works and
there's all kinds of others,
different kinds of stuff where they let them do it versus doing it themselves. But eventually they get taken over by government employees.
Well, yes, you get creeping bureaucratization, I could call it. And
like Boeing.
Yes, that's a good example.
They're the only ones that know anything. It's the ones that come out of the government program to go into private contracting. They're the only ones.
They just know the network. They know the network, and that's what it is. That's why they get hired. The reason government employees get hired by these big companies is the generals, the people, the process, how to better get the sales done, and so they get hired a lot. My son informed me of that in the Air Force that procurement people don't last long because they get sucked. They get bought up by Boeing, and all these other people to get contracts. And the insider people in the military learn it for 10 years in the military, and Boeing pays them big salaries to come in and share all that data so we know how to get contracts.
Scientists got a great reputation because they produced results. I mean, and technology flowed from it to get great results. And so then that reputation was used to fund all these programs, and initially they started getting good results. But what happened is the idea that experts would tell us what to do became rule experts who are just the particular experts a politician wanted to hire.
Yeah.
So the politician just hires the experts to give them the programs they want.
Right. In 1969, Martin Marinetta came to my father at Fort Belvoir and offered him the world to move to California and work for them. And didn't do it because of family reasons, whatever. But they were already looking farming employees for the federal government
And
to
that
work
happens all
for
the
them.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty common, and it's not
And
necessarily bad.
No, it's
No,
great
100%.
training. They have great insights when they come in, but it's also they bring with the connections that work with them. So it's a win-win for the company.
Right.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And they pay them probably 4 or 5 times as much as they're making in the military.
Maybe.
You would believe the incentives that go along with what they were offering him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I understand technology being advanced through public-private contractual agreement. It's just the way they farm. They just farm.
Yeah,
You know
It's
what I'm saying?
it's grown into this way to scam tax dollars,
Correct.
and it's not 100% that way. We don't want to do away with everything. I think Musk with Doge and Trump, they're doing necessary correction because we are going broke, and we have to cut back on spending.
Well, it's like the Minneapolis scam. I mean, it grew so fast, it become unmanageable. You can't keep going. And we've been doing it at a slower pace within the government and as a whole.
Right.
It's just
Exactly. And
goes to
so
feed
this
itself.
is I support President Trump because we have to cut back, but he is playing this game of that he has to on a tightrope where if you cut too much too fast, you might crash the system or you might lose political power.
No,
But
that's
if
just
you don't cut enough, the system crashes because you go so far into debt that you go
and
bankrupt.
that's just it. There's a lot of politicians tied into these states that have these programs, that have these things. Military contracts are spread out throughout the
Right.
states on purpose
Right,
so that the
Oh,
senators
yeah.
from those states, as representatives from those states, support it.
right. And that's one of the, actually, I think that's a brilliant plan
Yeah.
was to spread the largesse all over so
Yeah.
that no one party has uh,
Sure.
a monopoly on government money for science.
Put military bases in every state,
Right.
put
We-
95
we-
programs in every state. Yeah.
We've got two big ones right now, and McCalskey is one in Alaska because you know what's there, and in Connecticut, what's
Susan
there?
Collins, yeah.
Right, you got a huge
Collins
nuclear
is from
substation.
Maine, isn't she?
Chisney, that's right. Maine.
They all benefit from that, believe me, from the nuclear sub bases that are up there,
Mhm.
and then Alaska, oil, military.
And that's why they get this political support of cost overruns. And cost overruns, you remember years ago when they brag about big projects like the Hoover Dam, whatever, on time, under budget, on time, under budget. Now it's just kind of a thing. We'll underbid it because we'll just do the cost overruns. And it seems like
Right.
cost overruns are always more than the original bids. It's just
Right,
terrible. Some of these big
they're losing it. Yeah, they're losing it over this mole hole and want to drill between New York and New Jersey right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Got another big dig going on?
yeah, they want to dig a tunnel.
Yeah. Well, they had one in Massachusetts called the Big Dig that just sucked up money like crazy.
I think it
Right.
eventually worked, didn't it?
It's operational,
Right.
but had somebody said, "Look, here's the price tag," what the
Yeah,
real
right,
price tag was,
exactly.
they said, "Oh, we don't need it." But you bid, it comes in like, "Oh, it's only going to cost this much," and then little by little, it's double the price, triple the price. It just keeps going because you run into problems.
Yeah, like the rail to nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's one of the biggest things that I've found through my mom and dad in the Army and the Air Force: procurement incentives within the government.
Yeah. What
Procurement incentives.
there is government incentives. And my son worked at it briefly, but you come up with a way to save money, and you get a bounty for it. And according to a lot of people I talk to, a lot of times those are like pipe dreams. They don't really save any money, but you still get the paperwork, and you get a nice thing in your jacket that
Right.
you save money, and you get a bonus money or something.
Yeah, I was involved with some of that stuff out at YPG.
Yeah, and it's just a
Yeah,
joke.
well,
Some
some
of
of it is
some of it.
valid.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is the incentives in government are generally to spend more money.
Yeah.
The more money you
Right,
spend, the bigger the program, the more people you
Right.
supervise, the higher your status, the more money you get. There's very little incentive in
And
government to
Trump is
save
doing the
money.
right thing to cut all of this. And
Yes,
to look at it and
exactly.
say, look, you guys got a budget, live with it.
but he also knows he can only cut it so hard.
Correct.
He can
There's
only,
too much political pushback.
if you cut the grass too short in the summer, it dies.
Well,
Well,
okay.
some of
yeah.
it we need to die. All right, Ted, I need you
All
to
right,
go
bye-bye.
away.
Bye-bye.
All right, man. Bye-bye. Nice to have him on, though. Nice call. We'll be right back.
Wind advisory in effect as this afternoon the winds will gust 20 to 30, maybe even occasional gusts over 40 miles per hour today. 68 the high, clear and 47 tonight. Partly cloudy, 68, breezy on Thursday, clear and 50 for tomorrow night.
Join us for Yuma Salutes America's 250, a star-spangled celebration filled with live music, family fun, and patriotic pride. Enjoy food and drinks, a kids zone, and a stunning patriotic drone show lighting up the night sky, featuring live performances by Bobby McClendon, Parma Lee, and headliner Randy Hauser. Saturday, April 18th from 3 to 11 p.m. at Desert Sun Stadium. Tickets are on sale now at yumaac.gov/America250.
To be a part of Russ's show, call 928-344-5258. That's 928-344-5258.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can quote in a second, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
This is as real as it gets. Get up, the kids up, the dog, the kids, out the door, work, pick up kids, dinner, bath, bed, repeat. You strive all day to make life better for them. So why not make life better for you? Get strive-free checking at Avenue Financial. No frills, no fuss, no monthly fee. Open a strive-free checking today at avenuefinancial.org. Certain restrictions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
Crime is already skyrocketing in 2026. Now, you may already own a firearm, but before you face the financial, the legal, the emotional weight of pulling the trigger, there is new technology, a smarter option. It's non-lethal. BYRNA.com. Berta makes less lethal launchers. It fires tear gas, pepper spray, kinetic rounds. It is designed to stop an attacker for up to 40 minutes. That gives you time to escape. That gives you time to get help without deadly consequences. Now remember, it fires at 400 feet per second, and it has serious stopping power enough to shut down a threat very fast without the legal, moral complexity of using lethal force. And every single launcher, hand assembled in beautiful Fort Wayne, Indiana, legal in all 50 states, no background check, and they'll ship it straight to your door. Just go to BYRNA.com today and find the right launcher for you and your family. That's BYRNA.com.
Today, we're talking with aphids and whiteflies about Safina insecticide from BASF.
We just got nailed with it.
So tell us, how you feeling?
Really, really weird.
And you still want to devour this field?
No way, bro.
There you have it, folks. Safina insecticide is specifically engineered to disorient aphids and whiteflies so they can't eat. And when they can't eat, they can't destroy.
They'll protect your alfalfa from aphids with Safina insecticide. Always read and follow label directions.
All right, question. Are you a fraud-paying American? You know, 1 in 4 tax-paying Americans have been a victim of identity fraud. Now, with LifeLock, if your identity is stolen, they will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Last year, billions of refunds were stolen. Now, could be from your salary or overtime or a second job. It's gone. But this year, you do not need to stay a victim. Save up to 40% off your first year. Use the promo code Hannity. Just go to lifelock.com today.
There's a man in D.C. He stands 6'3". He's fighting for you. He's fighting for me. He'll bring that one, just like he said.
Yeah, KBL. You just park back to the indeed here.
Glad to be here.
I want to go into this climate deal. Actually, it's a science deal where it's the American Association of Advancement of Science, which is just in Phoenix, and some of the things that went on in there. Another workshop was the colonial legacies, climate crises, and the erosion of mobility choice. It's a workshop, and it was it offered an interview with a climate justice scholar, Jola Ajabade, and he explained how climate change has benefited a few wealthy people while low-income communities are displaced. This is science.
No, they're claiming it's science.
Okay.
It's
I like that
political
correction.
advocacy.
Yes. He says, at the center of my work, and this is him talking, Ajabade. At the center of my work is giving a voice, but also bringing to the attention of everyone in the impact of a slew of climate solutions. The impact of those solutions on low-income communities, on Black communities, on Indigenous, on Latino communities as well. And he focused on finding decolonial approach, which I don't even understand all that. And sponsors for the event were the Science and Philanthropy Alliance, a group tied to the progressive consulting behemoth, Arbella Advisors, and through New Venture Fund, a nonprofit that pushes a variety of progressive causes.
Right.
That's who's paying for this stuff.
Right.
And I'm sure there's Ajabade, who comes up with this ridiculous workshop, probably makes tremendous money, which probably is tied to some government funding somewhere. Some grants or something.
It's possible that people that are funding him get government grants. But you'd have to look at it. That's the type of thing that Musk was looking at.
Yes, he was. Where's the money?
But the point is, this is essentially political. It is not science. It is political, that masquerading as science. I mean, if you were science, you could say, first off, have minority communities, have they benefited over the last 100 years? Yes, enormously.
Yeah.
We have electricity, indoor plumbing. Medicine has increased enormously. Everybody's standard of living has gone up enormously.
Opportunities.
Right.
Yeah.
So have minorities benefit? Has everybody else benefited? Yes. Have some people benefited more than others? Yes. But it's better to have some people benefit more than others and everybody benefit than to have almost no one benefit or by very little.
The real problem is meritocracy. It's about
meritocracy.
I'm sorry, meritocracy. In that performance pays, not raise.
Well, right. The genius of the system, which I call Christian capitalism, is where you have a moral code, Judeo-Christian moral code, combined with the free market, is that it pays people to make other people's lives better.
Right.
If you find something that people like and that they want more of, people will find a way to make money by giving it to them more, or finding a way for them to purchase it at a lower price.
These organizations try to get around with that and say, no, it's about equity, and everybody, no matter your skin color, should make the same.
But that's
instead of having the same opportunity, make the same.
Right. What we have found by real world examples over the last 150 years is that equity produces bad results.
Yes.
And
that's
and there are people who would rather have the appearance of everybody being equal and much poorer than everybody being better off, but some better than others.
It's socialism.
Yes, exactly.
Everybody's the same, so we can't complain, even if we're all poor.
But what really happens is, of course, then the managerial class under socialism become the new nobility.
Yeah. One of the event attendees lamented and said, look, the whole thing that is sad for me is that when I attended these conferences in the first Trump administration, there was plenty of liberal nonsense, but it was still a celebration of science and the achievements of the year. And you left excited. This year felt like a funeral with nothing but griping and griping and moaning. Why would people want to keep coming back year after year with something like that? I suspect that it is why their attendance greatly suffered this year compared to the pre-COVID years. Their constant pleas to keep politics out of science are completely undercut by their perpetual whining and endorsing utter craziness. They're happy for science to be political as long as it's leftist.
Exactly. That's the point. From what examples you gave is that this organization has been taken over by leftists and is being used for very political purposes.
Yes. That's according to what I read in this, and of course, I didn't do a lot of research on it. I didn't find a lot of alternatives. I'm sure there's other papers on it that give it praise for stating the obvious that Trump is an idiot. Because that seems to be the conference, if the leftists are devastated because money's drying up in some of these nonprofits that are collecting grants from federal government and spending it on basically whatever they want.
Right.
And it goes back into the political coffers, to political
Right.
programs.
And the idea that money to promote science comes from the government is fine to a point. But when that science becomes politically corrupted, it's worse than not having the funding.
My impression is that this leaning leftist or whatever, or this leaning political, it was never spoken out loud. It was behind the scenes. It was not obvious. But now it seems to be front and center. It's from the podium, an opening comment. It's they're emboldened to scream it right now.
Well, I think the Trump administration has pulled off the Band-Aid to show the festering wound underneath.
Yeah.
And while this might not have been talked about in the past, it was there. I mean, I recall going to the National Center for Atmospheric Research up in Boulder. We had contracts with them to help develop programs for meteorological forecasting. They're very good at what they did, and they built models, and they built really good models. But and this is just a little anecdote. And one of the people at National Center for Atmospheric Research said, "Well, would you be interested in doing research on how climate change could affect the military?" And I recall someone, I forget the name, probably just as well, said, "Well, no, that won't work for us because our heads don't believe climate change is a problem."
Yes. I got an interesting comment from one of the listeners, an educated listener. I can tell from just some of the writings.
Sure.
And he says, "What the heck is Christian capitalism? Is it an anecdoted economic theory? Sounds like pseudoscience, just like climate change." Fair comment.
Yeah, my thought is that capitalism without any moral base doesn't work really all that great.
Yeah.
But when you have a moral base, which was the United States had this Judeo-Christian morality base: don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, give fair units of measured, that standards are there to be enforced. When capitalism is based on such a culture, it has proven to be exceptionally powerful at creating wealth.
I don't know if most churches, because I was not a churchgoer in my younger years, in my development years, but now it's very obvious that like CTC, for instance, Church for the City, they do a lot of economic teachings, biblical economic
Sure.
teachings, and how to manage money and wealth building and stuff like that, and in a capitalistic society. And Christian's writings is not socialist.
No,
No.
but there are ethics involved with it.
Yes.
And
yes.
if you look at the history of what was going on in North America before the Europeans came, it's tribal fighting all over the place. Now, the Aztecs were building a civilization. They had writing. They had some technologies. I mean, and then the conquistadors came and said, this killing people for human sacrifice to the gods and eating them is not a good thing.
We've gotten away from that. Huh?
We offer you a better deal. And the tribes that had been conquered by the Aztecs said, "Yeah, and we can get rid of the Aztecs too, huh?" And they said, "Yeah, we'll give you a better deal." And then they conquered the Aztecs. And in all of, maybe not all, but generally, there was just tribal warfare everywhere in the United States, and they didn't have a Christian basis, so the ethics were bad. Outside the tribe, they're just a resource to be killed or used any way we want.
Christian conquerors were not gentle.
No, they weren't.
We'll be back. We're out of time. AM 560 KBLU.
This is News Talk 560 KBLU, Yuma.
Testing revealed that the DNA found on the glove 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home belonging to an unknown male and the DNA found inside of the Guthrie home belonging to an unknown individual are two different people. Neither of those DNA sets produced a match. The FBI's national database.
Fox and Brian Yevon, Tucson, Arizona. A new round of Russia-Ukraine talks this morning, brokered by the U.S. in Geneva, though both sides called them difficult, and a dispute over who gets what territory, if there is, and still to stop their war. Now, this is the day after the same American negotiators held indirect talks with Iran in Geneva. Vice President Vance tells Fox Iran to make a nuclear deal.
One of the most hostile and also one of the most irrational regimes in the world. You can't have people like that have the most dangerous weapon known to man.
Tomorrow, Russia and Iran are planning a show of force. Joint military drills in the Sea of Oman with American warships in the region. At the Winter Olympics, the U.S. got a snowboarding bronze today and won silver in men's team cross country in a race won by Norway, giving Johannes Husflot Kleibo his 10th career gold medal, more than any Winter Olympian ever. America's listening to Fox News. This month, Talk is honoring Jackson and Lincoln by offering unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25 a month. Meanwhile, Big Wireless is honoring Ben Franklin by charging families hundreds of dollars for the same 5G coverage. What? Franklin wants to become president. Hang on to those benefits. Dial pound 250, say micro, and save 50% off your first month. That's pound 250, micro. Switch to an American wireless company that's truly unprecedented. Pure talk.
Progressive presents Employee Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Lucky Larry's Landscaping, Larry saves his business money with a commercial auto from Progressive. Does it help with his own marketing manager, accountant, executive assistant, and never been late? Technically, yes, but saving really put him over the edge. So, Larry, give Larry a round of applause. Be your own Larry. See if you could save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates.
March 6th through the 8th, it's the 33rd annual Midnight Feeling. 100 classic cars, food, and entertainment, plus a chance for you to win your very own classic car. $19.55 full of Central for just $20. This classic could be yours.
Hear the stories that are told. My name is Coronado, Director of Volunteer Services. Hospice of Yuma is thrilled to be the first hospice organization in Yuma County and one of 9 in the state of Arizona to achieve the Level 5 We Honor Veterans Series. This honor reflects years of dedicated efforts by staff and volunteers to meet veterans' needs. We're committed to providing the highest level of care and support to veterans and their families. To become a Vet to Vet volunteer or for more information about Hospice of Yuma services, please call our office at 928-343-2222 or visit our website at hospiceofyuma.com.
AM 560 KBLU, Russ Clark back with you. And Dean's here.
Glad to be here.
Phone lines are open, 928-344-5258. I haven't left them open much since I've been rambling. But a mistrial declared in the Texas ICE Detention Center ambush trial over a defense lawyer's T-shirt. which I found interesting. I know you study the law a lot, or an
Well,
interest in legal issues.
There's firearms law, particularly in self-defense. I've studied quite a bit.
Right. But this law was about ICE type organizations that ended up in a riot and the shootings and all that kind of stuff. Let's see when it happened. July 4th of 2025. So it was just less than a year
Right.
ago.
This is where someone fired at ICE.
Yeah. One person was hit in the neck and lived. The defendants, which are Antifa, ignited fireworks, damaged buildings, and then began firing on federal officers. Not nice people. But we'll get to the trial, but let me take a phone call. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Russ.
Good morning, OG.
Yeah, listen, I just saw some items on the internet about this AI stuff.
Yeah.
I'd like your thoughts on it. I think it really needs to be regulated by the states and not the federal government. The federal government can oversee it.
Okay.
But I think since the interstate commerce and that's Grover Cleveland's crap, I don't think the federal government should get in there and make it all vanilla. I think the states should have their own different laws and rules governing. Because when one breaks out, it's not going to be like an epidemic. You understand what I'm saying? All over the country. Okay, so what do you? And, the AI, why I'm concerned, because what I called you about the other day, I've been fooled twice by AI.
Sure. And Dean and I talked about it all morning. The AI that is not what we think it is sometimes. It's just a tool.
Sir.
Yeah.
No, sir. I'm going to tell you what I do from my gambling experience. When they speculate, that's a form of government. I mean, that's a form of gambling, speculating.
Right.
Because you're speculating that something's going to happen. Gambling is the same thing because you're speculating on a winner.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're making a prediction, essentially.
Yes, same thing. Prediction. If you make a prediction, you have nothing to back it up. Only you just because I'm a card player.
Yeah.
And all I got is my experience, and I'm betting my best effort. And because of my knack for winning, I win. But it's a knack. It's not like anything scientific that I can tell you and how to win. You understand, Russ?
Well, yeah, and you played poker a lot, so you got to watch other people, and you got to know them and know the odds.
There's a lot of skill involved.
There is a lot of skill. Yep.
Yeah, but it's like a weapons room, arms room when they have the soldiers dismantle guns, and then they have blindfolding contests. It's experience. It's not. You're not predicting.
Sure.
I'm really worried about AI, and I hope you are too.
I am, and I'm more curious. And when you get people like Elon Musk comes out and says, "Look, I'm anti-government. The government needs to put some limits on this," and nobody's done it yet.
Well, and he's also said, look, the problem is that we can't stop it here because other countries like North Korea, China, and Russia are going to go full bore on it. And if they get it first, we lose.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with it, but it is scary. There's no way to stop it. That genie's out, man. That box has been opened.
Yeah, I agree with you. The genie is out of the freaking box, and I don't think they can stuff it back in the bottle.
I think you're right, OJ.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
All right, buddy. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Yeah, he's right, unfortunately. But I don't know about states. I mean, because then you got like what Minnesota's going to be in charge of AI.
Well,
I don't think
he's running into a fundamental problem in the U.S. because AI is essentially written instructions in computer code.
Sure.
And you're basically saying who can speak. It's essentially a First Amendment issue.
I agree.
And I don't think we're going to be able to put state level meaningful controls. I'm not sure we're even going to be able to put federal meaningful controls, but we have to do something to try to keep AI from going rogue. And I think Musk's approach is what we need to do. And what Musk has said is we can't stop it. We have to be the best. And he's trying to make his AI to at least be something that seeks truth rather than just makes things up.
Well, like Google. Remember when Google came out with their form of AI? people tested it and said, "Draw me a picture of founding fathers or something," and
They had black founding
yeah,
fathers.
they had black because they were like they fixed it around these parameters of DEI and show
Yeah, right.
diversity and all that instead of reality. Not reality. It
And
was
that's
diversity.
a serious problem.
Yeah.
And I hope that Elon Musk is successful in creating an AI that is based on truth and physical reality.
Right.
But I think it's our best bet. You know, and so far, we're still relatively early. But
If AI comes up with a picture of the founding fathers and it looks like a rainbow coalition, it's not reality.
Yes, correct.
And that was pointed out like the first day they released it.
Right.
And I don't remember what happened after that. They said they took it off and we're going to go back to the drawing board.
Well, hopefully we make improvements.
Yeah.
What I fear is that AI will be used as a political tool,
of course,
to program people to think in certain ways.
Of course.
I mean, I see that something like that happening all the time with Google and others basically watching your moves through your phone, through your computer, whatever, and then pushing information toward you to get you to think about something in a particular way. Now, an obvious form of this is just simply advertising.
Of course.
But it can go much deeper.
Well, apparently, and I don't know a lot about it, you know more than me, but the Venezuela takeover, taking Maduro out, AI was heavily used. They said AI was used in their plans of attack and all that kind of stuff.
Well, for figuring out what drones could be used,
Right.
what the defenses would be.
And I'm sure some of it was live too, as the battlefield changed. AI changed with it, and we saw the results. We didn't lose a single person. We had one helicopter shot up that flew,
right,
and that was it. And we did like an impossible task of getting the president of the country out when he was being heavily guarded, knew the attack was coming, and we swooped in and took him out.
Right.
Unbelievable. AI was involved in that. So it's got to give you pause on what AI is capable of.
Correct. And there are other things, and I'm not saying we can't stop the technology, we have to master it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only plausible way forward without a disaster. But I was just reading about Optimus Robot. I think it's Optimus 3 now.
And with Elon Musk.
That Elon Musk, Tesla, I think is the company that's producing them. And it is becoming incredibly capable.
Have you bought one? I don't even know if they're for sale.
They're
are
not
they?
for sale yet.
Okay, they're still
Some of
prototypes.
them are being used in some of the Tesla factories. That's how I understand.
They're being built to build robots, maybe.
Well, yes, I think they will. I think you will have robots building robots.
Yeah.
And the problem, or maybe the advantage of a humanoid robot, is it can go everywhere humans can go.
Because we're built, the society is built for humans.
Right. So we make a robot that can mimic humans in such a way.
They can fit through the
But
doors.
the problem is that then those robots, it's the Terminator problem you look at.
Yeah.
If those robots somehow decide they don't like humans, then you got a real big problem. So
Well-
hopefully you try to make it in such a way that they like humans. you know?
Best laid plans, but
Yes.
artificial intelligence can rewrite itself eventually.
That's what we're possibly looking at. I mean, one of the first things that AI can do best is write code.
Yeah. So it may, who knows?
So the idea is you get a acceleration effect where AI writes code to make better code, to write better code that writes better code, and it all takes off and we reach what they call the singularity. And I don't think I want to go into all that.
No, we've seen the progression of technology. What used to happen in a year then happened in 6 months and happened in 3 months, and now we're down to minutes.
Well,
where we keep getting these aggressive changes.
And it's an exciting time to be alive.
Yeah. But
Or,
scary.
there's that old Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times. We live in interesting times.
Yes. Yeah, it is. And this AI is probably one of the more interesting.
It is. All these incredible technologies coming forward all together at about the same time.
Musk believes that his Optimus robot will be bigger than Tesla And now he's become the richest man in the world because of Tesla. And
Well,
Jeff
Tesla, SpaceX,
yeah,
there are others.
he thinks Optimus will
Starlink.
outdo all of them. And
Yeah, he says so. Well, essentially, the potential is there for Optimus to essentially offer humans
how many people do
a
you know?
slave.
How many people do
essentially.
you know that would buy one today if it was available for 20,000? I don't know a single person.
I would. I'd buy
You
it
buy
in,
one?
in a moment.
I know one person. But of course, we don't really know what all it's going to be able to do or not do. Okay.
That's correct. We don't know. So I would, because I think that it offers
Let me
huge
take
amount of possibilities.
Take a quick break. I'll be right back. AM 516.
Join us for Yuma Salutes America's 250, a star-spangled celebration filled with live music, family fun, and patriotic pride. Enjoy food and drinks, a kids zone, and a stunning patriotic drone show lighting up the night sky, featuring live performances by Bobby McClendon, Parma Lee, and headliner Randy Houser. Saturday, April 18th from 3 to 11 p.m. at Desert Sun Stadium. Tickets are on sale now at yumaaz.gov/America250.
What's up, Yuma, and hello, Russ Clark Show listeners. Johnny Porter here, and I just made the switch to Allo Fiber, and it's a game changer. Lightning fast speeds for streaming, working from home, and gaming. No buffering or slowed down speeds. It's time to ditch the glitch and switch to Allo Fiber.
Sprague Sports is Yuma's hunting and shooting headquarters. Why? Because Sprague Sports is the difference. Where else can you buy, sell, trade, or consign firearms with free expert appraisals always? There's nothing like Sprague Sports. With local price matching, you can buy with confidence at Sprague's. And all Sprague's firearms come with a lifetime warranty. And talk about customer service. There's a gunsmith always on duty. And there's expert one-day sighted service. But that's not all. Sprague Sports has got training classes, including Arizona CCW, First Shot, Hunter's Education, and more. Sprague's handles Glock, Blue Label pistols, and is your NFA dealer in suppressors and full autos. That's why we call them the experts. And Sprague's is Yuma's Yeti headquarters. The best Yeti selection and free ice for life. Sprague's has 15 lanes of certified indoor shooting range and gun rentals you can try before you buy. That's Sprague Sports, Yuma's hunting and shooting headquarters. Responsible gun ownership since 1956. 30 seconds next to mine.
AM 560 KBLU. Russ Clark back with you, and Dean here.
Glad to be here.
I want to get back to this law. I mean, this district judge.
Right on the heist shooting.
Yeah, it was the shooting of and the throwing of fireworks and damaging buildings and all that. That they arrested some what they described as the North Texas Antifa cell.
Right.
They arrested them, and of course, he's going to go to trial. And this U.S. District Judge Mark Pittman.
Oh yeah, I know a bit about him because he's made some Second Amendment rulings.
He threw the case out.
That's interesting.
Yeah, which I thought threw it out. Oh, Antifa won something, but that wasn't necessarily it. There was a T-shirt that was worn by an attorney, Marquetta Clayton. Under a blazer, he had a T-shirt which depicted civil rights icons. And the icons were like Martin Luther King Jr., Shirley Chisholm, and he threw it out. He says, "I don't know why in the world you would think that's appropriate." Now, this was a defense attorney,
right,
that was wearing it, trying to make a point that
Well,
these
he's
are just
trying-
patriots or something.
He's trying to associate those icons with his clients.
Yes, obviously. Well, Clayton had asked questions of the panel for 22 minutes, so he was talking to the panel of preparing jurors. So you interview jurors.
Okay, so this is during
early on, before
voir dire or whatever, when they're selecting a jury.
And the judge said this has to be the first in the history of American jurisprudence, I would think. Pittman he's the one that said that. He says, "I've left no other choice." The other defense attorneys didn't oppose any kind of mistrial at all. They didn't want it to happen. And the judge said he would schedule a show cause hearing, which Clayton will have to explain why she should not be sanctioned.
Oh.
She should be sanctioned. Well, it cost the court a lot of time.
Money.
They had 75 potential jurors in a pool of 130 jurors will be brought next Tuesday now. This happened yesterday. And then next Tuesday, they're going to be to start the process all over again.
Okay, so but it doesn't sound like they're eliminating the case. It just sounds that they're
No.
bringing a different or
Yeah.
setting up procedures for the selecting
Well,
jury.
they're calling it a mistrial, which it didn't really get to where
Right. I
they
was
weren't
gonna say that
presenting the case,
it's
but
not really a mistrial because they never had a trial.
well, I guess they're considering the jury selection as part of the trial, possibly. But
Is Judge Pittman calling it a mistrial?
yes, yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
Okay.
Which
I'd have to look at the details.
and it was Tuesday. A federal judge on Tuesday declared a mistrial of the case. And there's 9 of these ANFA members, and of course, there's more than one defense attorney. I
Right.
guess some of them have their own,
Sure.
and all that. So they're going to bring in another 130 jurors potential. So everyone got these notices in the mail now because of this guy.
Right.
That word, there's lady or T-shirt.
Now, where I'm trying. This is in Texas. I'm trying this around Fort Worth, or where is it?
It doesn't say. I just
I'm trying to think where Pittman has his court, and I think it's around Fort Worth, but I'm not sure.
this article said there was about 20 potential jurors said they were opposed to ICE efforts to combat illegal immigration. We're a family of immigrants, one potential juror said. So they have a soft spot, but there's still jurors. I mean, that's up to the lawyers to.
Well,
pick
this
and-
is when you go through jury selection process. It's one of the things you try to determine whether juries have a predilection for one side or the other.
Yes, and sometimes that's favorable or non-favorable depending on what side of the issue you're on. But
Well,
it can happen.
you want to have neutral jurors. That's the idea.
Well, yes, unless you're a defense attorney, you would like
Well,
to
of
have
course,
that guy.
and both defense and prosecution have.
Have
You know,
a-
it's a complicated process.
Yeah. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
We're doing
Good
well.
morning.
Clyde. Good morning.
You guys have been all over the place this morning from going to church teachings about how you should run your finances. By the way, I hope you didn't miss give 10%,
Oh,
class.
we didn't mention that, but that is part of it. Yes.
or the one where the
Tithing.
preacherman doesn't pay income tax. You guys go over that part too. Anyways,
Okay.
yeah, clergymen don't pay income tax.
Right,
You knew
or
that,
Social
right?
Security, they're not covered by that. Yeah.
Well, they pay into Social Security, but they don't pay income tax.
Okay, you
Look
may
it
know more than me.
Yeah, but let's look it up on that one. But anyways, interesting. So the wind's blowing really, really hard up and down or gusting this morning.
Okay.
Are you for AI or are you not for AI, Russ? Because when we've had conversations, you think it's the best thing since sliced bread.
I'm still in favor of AI. I'm not saying it doesn't have it. I mean, we're not going to shut it out anyway. It doesn't matter whether you're for it or not. It's coming. Get prepared.
I
But
understand that. I mean,
I'm
we
not
can't
opposed
stop
to it. I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah. But you know, it's feeding all these young kids all the crap that they're learning today. It's telling them who to vote for. It's pushing all that. And when you have countries that are building software for us, I mean, that's kind of indoctrination, don't you think?
Well, it can be, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at the companies that are providing a bunch of this AI stuff to Google and to all these other people. It's coming from like 75% of it is coming from China. And who do they influence the most? Probably the young people, you think? Would you tend to agree?
I don't know. I don't know. I think young people are more apt to interact with social media and things that are influenced by AI. I would imagine.
Well, I just think it needs to be slowed down a little bit and thought a little bit more on how they're doing it and who's building the programs. You know, you work for Nap stores, so you know that in the old days, if you want to give away your age a little bit, you had to go to a catalog, correct?
Yeah, I'm 68, so yeah, I'll give that away. But
Hey, I worked in the days where we had catalogs.
of course, that's all.
and
That's
then
the only
you
thing we had when we opened. We only had catalogs.
Yeah, and then you went into the future of everything being modernized and
Sure.
computerized and
Yep.
everything. But we all know that computer was only as accurate as the person that input the information in from the catalog.
And AI is limited, and we're finding that out more. As Dean's been working with it, he has some firsthand experience of its limitations. So it's not perfect.
No, it's not. But when we begin to take it for gospel, we're going to be in a world of trouble.
Yes, that's a bad idea.
Yeah, it's a tool. It's not. It's not all
Because
knowing.
I can recall many times, you know, somebody coming in and looking for a part,
and punching the numbers in the computer, and it said you didn't have it, and all you had to do was go to the Wells catalog right there and look it up, and then go in and punch that number into your inventory, and oh my God, you had 20 of them sitting on the shelf.
Yeah. Oh, there's no
But
question. Yeah.
we get lazy and we begin to depend on what's put in there, and then before you know it, then you depend on what other people tell you
Well,
to be gospel.
The computerized cataloging systems in most of these organizations have been much advanced over when you and I last worked on them. And they're going to tend to have more information now, and that's why the catalogs are going away. They're not even printing them anymore.
I think your point is that you can't depend on the computer to tell you the truth. And I think, and that's very important because we had this bias, and I think it's starting to change for a long time that if computers spit it out, it was gospel.
It must be true. It's on the internet.
I can tell you in my professional life that is not true. It's garbage in, garbage out. And you can get a program and a simulation to give you anything you want. And if you make a little mistake in the program, like when I did my master's thesis, was it 50 years ago? I found a program that somebody had made a mistake in. It gave exactly the wrong results, and those wrong results were used to pass legislation. And so you cannot depend on computer simulations to be true. You have to be very, very careful using them. And I think that goes directly to what you're saying. And I think people are learning to be skeptical of what a computer tells you.
Yeah.
Oh, by all means. I mean, and back in those days, if you found an error, a wise person would write the error down and send it up to the guy that did it, so they can go in there and make the correction to better serve. But just like surveys, or just like a lot of things, like I know stats and all that come out. Murder rate is down. Well, yeah, because they just start declassifying everything. It was just like during COVID. I mean, if you got hit by a car and died, you had COVID.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that example.
They build that stuff to make it to build. Whoever wants to present something and wants to back it up can twerk and tweak all of those lines that come out, and then boom, they throw it in the paper, and everybody starts reading it, and it gets projected across the United States, and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, the murder rate's higher or lower or whatever. But it's the way. It's the way they tweak it to their advantage.
I think you are correct, and more people need to be aware of it. And how do you get around it? Well, you go to a bunch of sources and you try to have people disagree, explain why this particular code or program may get it wrong. In the example I gave, I didn't find the error until long after the legislation had been passed, and it was because I was working on my master's thesis and became fluent in computer code in Fortran, and I reread the program that somebody else had written and said, wait a minute, this is opposite of what it should be. You're counting something as a plus when it's a minus.
Exactly. And I'm just, we begin to rely so much on, we don't think anymore.
But yes, we do. We do think. Look, Dean uses AI, but he questions it. I mean, he's one of the most questionable guys ever. He questions everything.
He's probably one in a million too.
No,
1 in 100,000, maybe
100,000.
Okay, I'll give you that right there. But I mean, we begin to take the easy way out and really quickly go in and type something. Oh, yep, that's the truth.
You're right.
You're right, but it hasn't changed as much as you think, Clyde. I mean, when I was doing research papers in college, I'd have to go to the periodicals. The periodicals would give you references to go to different magazines and stuff, and you'd look it up and do it all by hand. And you still have to question it because it's just a magazine article. And who wrote it, and is there supporting evidence and all that? Same thing now. It's just AI will do it. We'll do it real quick. I don't have to go to the periodical table. So it'll just punch it up and put it on my computer. You still have to question it.
I'd say part of the problem is that these big networks like Google and Facebook and such that are collecting all this data about us, and the government is too. They have access to all that data, is because they know so much about you. They can start feeding you information in ways that they know you are vulnerable to, that you're more likely to accept.
Correct.
And I call it, they're programming us through our phones.
Correct.
To have certain points of view, to accept certain things. And it's a much more difficult problem to be skeptical about
It's
all that.
it's basic marketing, but they've advanced it because they know so much so fast and so individualized versus community.
Right.
Yeah.
I call it our
Well-
digital overlords.
Our digital overlords.
Well, it's just like going to Fry's or Albertsons or any of these grocery stores and getting a VIP card or whatever, so you can get a discount on your groceries. Now they start tracking what you do, and next thing you know, they start sending you things of what you're going to buy with the coupons. But who's to say, because that information can't be sold to your
Oh, it
health
is sold.
insurance,
Of
your
course it
health
is.
insurance company,
Yeah.
and you filled out a form to buy life insurance policy, and they asked you, "Do you smoke?" and you said no, and all of a sudden they could go in there and say, "Well, why the hell are you buying 3 cartons of cigarettes every month or whatever at Fry's and your VIP number?"
Sure,
So they
that's just
track-
the tip of the iceberg about what's
they
possible.
could probably do that now.
Yeah.
They probably
and,
could.
and as much as AI may be helpful or whatever, I mean, I would probably say, yeah, this is how you should mix the soil for your petunias or whatever. But I sure as hell don't want a doctor or a medical condition being processed by AI on my body. I mean, I can handle it if my petunias don't grow, but if I got a growth on the side of my neck or something, and AI is saying, "Oh, he just got stung by a bee. It'll go away in about a month or whatever." See, I mean, it's just
Well, the problem
there's
is that you have humans are fallible too all the time. So the real question is, in a particular field, is AI better or worse than a human that's doing it? So it's not easy to just say the computer can make mistakes, because of course it can, but humans make mistakes too. So how do we get
of
to
course.
better?
Which is the better of the both. But I mean, I think that networking with doctors, how they network with one doctor to the other by actually maybe physically typing or sending an email back and forth, is still going to be a little more dependable to me and sending pictures of it than looking at AI, and AI says, "Nope, this is what you have." I mean, I still think some, eyes are better. It's just like when we went through COVID. I mean, you were sick, and all of a sudden you had doctors that didn't want to see you, so they did telemedical thing, and you'd call up, "Oh, I'm doing good," all that. How the hell can you look at somebody and know how they're doing you can't see the color of their skin, can't see how they're walking, and then you could bill the insurance company for more money than if the guy actually walked into the office and went into was physically seen by the doctor. That's a bunch of crap.
Well, you're right to point out problems, because there's plenty of them. It's just that we will see things happening, and hopefully, probably through a lot of trial and error, we will adopt the technologies that work better.
Yeah, well, I don't want to be the trial and error guy.
Yeah, well, it's just
Right?
something we
I mean,
can't
the trial and
escape.
error guy was 200 years ago, so
Well, you can disconnect from everything and live out in the woods, but right now it's part of our reality.
I'm not going to disconnect and live out in the woods. I'm not saying that I'm going to do that. I'm just telling you that don't depend on it, and be careful what we're building a monster. We could be building a Trojan horse and not even realize it.
Yes, I think all of that is correct,
that's
and
a
you
great
have
message.
a
Absolutely.
good grasp on reality here.
And that's the way
And just
Dean and I started, telling us it's just a tool, and double check.
Well, I think it's a tool that needs to be really, really checked out, and I think we need to do something so these phones don't collect our data or listen to our
I'm
conversations.
as scared of the
or-
government as I am AI. So do I really want the government telling
but
us
see,
how
that's-
much to use? And
Well,
letting
you
them-
could have a combination of two that's even worse.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I probably want to keep them out of it.
But it's easier to change the government than it is going to be to change the science of it or everything going on.
Well,
We get that opportunity every 2 years,
right,
to change our government, and we talk about it, but we don't really change nothing. We got old fools that are up there in Washington that should have been gone a long time ago.
I think it changes. We've got a much different government than we did 20 years ago, but I don't think it's always good. I mean, we end up with some going the wrong direction sometimes.
Well, it's just people need to pull their head out of the sand, and because you don't like somebody personally because they make fun of a newscaster or do something goofy, but he's doing exactly what everybody wanted to be done 20 years ago with Obama, just on deporting people.
Yeah, but people are going to say negative things because it's about power. It's not about him doing the right thing.
He's going to walk out here and he's going to tell you the sun's shining and all. I mean, it could be a sunshiny day, and every other person doesn't like him. You're full of shit. I mean, it's cloudy outside. It's raining just because they want to go against them. But I think the big start is our government. We can change that.
All right.
We can't change the scientists doing AI. But anyways,
Appreciate the
have
call.
a good day. Good
Thank you, man.
talking to you.
Bye-bye. No, some great comments and stuff.
A lot of
we're going to keep
useful
talking about.
stuff.
Yeah, and a bit about government regulating AI scares me because their regulation may make it worse.
That could happen.
And it may affect free speech. And you mentioned very early on today in the first hour, or at the beginning, that it's basically a speech issue. Like, are they,
Right.
You start limiting the speech of AI, you've limited the speech of the producers of AI, of the individuals of AI. And that's a scary thought. You can go to jail for thoughts in England.
Police. Yeah.
In England, and so I think it's better to have no government interaction, but I may be wrong on that. And Elon Musk has changed where he's looking at it.
Right.
At first, he said government's got to regulate; it's too powerful. To where now he's a little different on it. Like if we don't do it, China will get way ahead.
Right. Exactly correct.
We were talking about robots too, and one of my fact checkers here wrote, Asimov, is that a name you're familiar? Asimov's 3 Laws of Robotics.
Oh yeah, Asimov.
Asimov.
I call him. That's the way I pronounce it.
I didn't know how to pronounce it. I was guessing.
Famous science fiction writer.
Asimov. He says rule number 1: a robot may not injure a human or allow a human to come to harm through interaction. Rule number 2: a robot must obey human orders unless they conflict with the first law. Rule number 3: a robot must protect its own existence as long as this does not conflict with the first or second laws, which is interesting. I think I've heard these before.
Yeah, I read them a long time ago, and I've heard about them. And the question has always been, how do you enforce them?
Correct. And you can say, well, it's a machine, you can program it. Well, the whole idea of AI is to continue learning. And if you continue learning, then you might learn that these aren't applicable somehow. I don't know.
There's a lot of terms that seem simple to us, which would be very difficult for an AI or a robot. Like, what is harm?
Right.
So they were an interesting bit of philosophy that Asimov put out. How you put them into practice, I have no idea.
I don't know. It's an interesting thought, and I think we've heard these since forever. I don't know how old these are, but they seem
they're back from the 60s.
60s, okay. And then he later added the Zeroth law. I think I'm saying that right. Zeroth. A robot may not harm humanity or by interaction allow humanity to come to harm. Yeah, I mean, those are nice. And I guess if you could hardwire it in somehow, but I don't know how AI
Yeah,
works.
I'm thinking about there was another science fiction book called Colossus. It's about a supercomputer taking over control of the world. And it was given the command to stop war. And so it said, well, I'm taking command, and any human that does not obey me will be killed instantly. And, because this will stop war.
Yeah.
And if I have to, I'll just kill all humans and then all war will be stopped.
Right. Be careful what you ask for.
Yeah.
I want all war stopped. Have you been watching the Olympics at all?
No, I haven't.
I have been, and that's been the thing to Helen. Helen has an interest in the ice skating, so I wanted to watch a little bit of the snowboarding half pipe, and I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No, I'm not.
But it looks like basically that's a half pipe that's 20 meters wide and about 8 meters tall, made of all snow. Snowboarders start at the top and they go back and forth, and at the end of the pipe they go way high, and then they go back to the other side high.
Oh, okay. Kind of like roller. Let's see. Anyway,
Yeah,
yes.
it's an interesting thing, and we've been watching the ice dancing. Now, ice dancing is very formalized, very structured, very they want to present themselves and dress and everything. It's all scored. You get to the snowboarding, these guys look like hippies and bums, baggy clothes,
Very
joking.
talented.
Oh, huge talented. It has nothing to do with that. It's just the attitude is not thuggish, but just kids at the park playing games and stuff. It looks like they're having a great time. The huge talent. I mean, they
have to score it somewhere or another.
Well, they score it by the tricks they do as far as twists, turns. They go up into the air at the end of the half pipe. They'll go 5 meters in the air, 6 meters in the
16,
air.
17 feet.
And they do, triple twist, upside down, all kinds of stuff, then land and then do it again on the other side, back and forth, back and forth. Huge skill, huge talent, and all that. But it was so funny to see the attitude difference. They come out with dreadlocks hanging out of their suits. Their suits are baggy, and they're doing high fives and all that. And the ice dancers are acting like they're in a sophisticated ballroom and acting,
Yeah.
To a decorum that they don't fit together. It was hilarious to watch. Both of them highly talented, highly
Yeah,
skilled.
exactly.
But it looked more fun to be a snowboarder. it looked like they're just meeting with their buddies down at the park, and going skating
Yeah,
and stuff, at a level that's superhuman in
Well,
looks
yeah,
and
at
stuff.
the top of the
Yeah,
talent level. Yeah,
yeah, they're doing things that only a few people in the world can do at that
right.
level.
Exactly.
And they're getting there. But interesting stuff to watch. I I've enjoyed it. I've watched a little downhill, a little bit of slalom race, and stuff. They do snowboard racing where they get 4 at a time, racing a court of moguls, lefts, rights, turns, and all that kind of stuff. And
Right.
it's kind of interesting at the same time to watch that. But they seem to be a lot more lax in their appearance and in their behavior and demeanor. After they're finished skating, there's smiles and bowing and waving to the judges and flowers throwing.
Oh.
These guys are jumping up and down in high fives.
Oh, okay.
No flowers, none of that stuff.
Oh.
So I read where there's a craze going on that 2 years ago it was the Olympic chocolate muffin craze.
No idea what you're talking about.
Apparently, in the 24 Olympics in Paris, there was a chocolate muffin that became a craze, and they started eating it for breakfast and everything else. So I want to join the Olympics. I guess they're doing it now. There's another chocolate lava cake that now the Olympics are getting. I guess they feed them, take care of them, and they're taking it to rooms, eating for breakfast and stuff. So just some insiders that they don't eat well either. You think these athletes run a strict diet until they get to the lava cake.
Well, if you are putting out a lot of calories in performance practice, you need a lot of calories to do it.
There you go. Well, first 2 years ago was the muffin, the muffin, chocolate muffin. Now it's the chocolate, and they're both chocolate.
Well,
The
somebody
lava cake.
has a good promotional system here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we can get one. I want to try one myself, but it seemed to be a craze that they're all eating these chocolate cakes, and I thought they were all athletes and only ate protein and stuff. But apparently, they're susceptible to this stuff.
Well,
As athletes, we're going to do it.
I don't think you have to be a vegan to be an athlete.
let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Okay, for your last question, go to Mostly Muffins on 16th Street, down by Avenue B.
Yeah.
Or you can go to Ghost Bros over on 24th Street, Avenue A. Okay, you're saying about it, these guys wearing baggy pants and everything else, snowboarders.
Yeah.
It comes from surfers.
Well, they act like surfers. They do. They act like surfers. Yep.
No, that's how they score too. Is okay. Well, he went up there and he did a triple side flip. Well, I don't know if you've ever seen a real good surfing competition.
Sure.
These guys can come up with their boards and come out of the tube and put a spin on it and set it right back down in there. But snowboarding, man, that's an art.
There's no doubt it's a high level, but they still act like kids, like they're saying, "Hey, dude, nice run," versus the.
Yeah, well, they are kids. I mean, look at them.
Yeah.
They're like 17, 18 years old when they start out because they've been surfing all their life.
Yeah. Well, some of them are competing at 17, 18
Yeah.
in the Olympics.
I think the guy is like 4 years ago, he was only like 19 when they won it. The whole thing, the redheaded guy. What's his name? His hair was down past his shoulder. I mean, he was a surfer.
I don't know. These guys jumping these half pipes at stay 6 meters above the over the edge. And I'm thinking, 6 meters? Really?
20 feet?
Yeah. Just go 20 feet out of the air like it's nothing, and then come right back down, hit the snow, and do it again. Not routine. I'd like to. I don't know. To do that would be scary as all get out.
Yeah, the level of control, balance is just amazing.
And they're just
Hey, you
laid
know,
back kids.
I'm gonna go back to yesterday real quick.
What's that?
I think it was yesterday. Well, wind turbines killing eagles. Well, we got you're looking, you're thinking how slow that thing is. If you look at how big those blades are, that chip could be doing over 200 miles an hour. Or 100, even at 100 miles an hour, the tip.
I don't think it's
out there.
They're going faster than you think. Gosh, I think they were showing on the downhill skiers how fast they were going, and they were over 80 miles an hour on the course.
Yeah, which is fast
on the downhill skiers. So they may be reaching that on the snowboards. 80, I don't think 200. But,
80 miles an hour. But I was going by the wind turbines that were killing the eagles. The tip speed of the rotors of the blades.
They got to be faster than they look because they look slow from a distance.
They're limited because they can't exceed the speed of sound.
Is that all?
It's
That's
a
like
limit.
600 miles an hour.
Right. So the tips of the turbines, it creates serious problems if they exceed the speed of sound. So they're limited below the speed of sound.
It's choppy like birds.
Yeah, paint the tips, like we have to do with aviation,
Yeah, maybe they'll do that.
I don't know. But I found it interesting.
But yeah, a lot of birds get killed by turbines.
And this bald eagle that was killed, or golden eagle, they got a fine of $14,000 for killing an eagle.
Who got fined?
The university that owned the windmill, they got fined $14,000 because an eagle got killed. But had they had some kind of permit, they wouldn't have got fined.
I was going to say, how do they? It's not like in their control.
But they're not the first ones. They have fined them before, and it comes out to like $14,000 an eagle.
So what do? They try to put some type of noise system to
I don't know. Well, no.
Scare eagles away.
They can get some kind of permit for inadvertently taking an eagle. So why wouldn't they automatically all do that? Is beyond me.
Well, if you could get the permit for less than $14,000,
but yeah, they went up and picked up the carcass, which was in multiple pieces, which means those things are going pretty fast.
Oh, it's not unreasonable for them to exceed 100 miles an hour on the wind speed or more. But like I said, they are limited by the speed of sound.
Yeah. All right, Andy. So I'm supposed to go to Mostly Muffins and get some lava cake now.
Well, you can go to Mostly Muffins, or probably Goldsboro can make them for you too.
Is it going to be
you.
the same recipe as the Olympics?
A lava cake's a lava cake. Just put more chocolate in it. It makes it better.
All right, man. I appreciate the call. Thanks. Yeah, so maybe I get my lava cake fixed, and we can watch the Olympics while doing it.
Oh, well,
it
yeah.
seems to be the thing to do there. If you're an Olympic champion, you can eat lava cake. Thinking about picking up a snowboard. We'll be back. AM 560.
Wind advisory in effect as this afternoon the winds will gust 20 to 30, maybe even occasional gusts over 40 miles per hour today. 68 the high. Clear and 47 tonight. Partly cloudy, 68, breezy on Thursday. Clear and 50 for tomorrow night.
All right, do-it-yourselfer, you've got the idea, and you got your building supplies at Southwest Lumber. That's right. Now, all you need is a bunch of expensive tools to get the job done.
Oh, that's right.
And you know just the place to rent them. Southwest Lumber, your home for everything home improvement. Southwest Lumber has half-day to multiple-day rentals available on just about anything you need to finish the job. Rent equipment and tools on Saturday and Sunday, it's free. Stop in today at 1917 South Avenue B in Yuma. Southwest Lumber, ready for everything.
We're the comfort experts, people you can trust. Ask our customers. That's why they count on us. Over 50 years of service, keep us going strong. We've got a name you can depend upon. Hansberger Refrigeration and Electric. Hansberger, count on us.
This is as real as it gets. Get up, get kids up, feed the dog, feed the kids, out the door, work, pick up kids, dinner, bath, bed, repeat. You strive all day to make life better for them, so why not make life better for you? Get Strive-free checking at Avner Financial. No frills, no fuss, no monthly fee. Open a Strive-free checking today at AvnerFinancial.org. Certain restrictions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
crime is already skyrocketing in 2026. Now, you may already own a firearm, but before you face the financial, the legal, the emotional weight of pulling that trigger, there is new technology, a smarter option. It's non-lethal. BYRNA.com. Berta makes less lethal launchers. It fires tear gas, pepper spray, kinetic rounds. It is designed to stop an attacker for up to 40 minutes. That gives you time to escape. That gives you time to get help without deadly consequences. Now, remember, it fires at 400 feet per second, and it has serious stopping power, enough to shut down a threat very fast without the legal, moral complexity of using lethal force. And every single launcher hand assembled in beautiful Fort Wayne, Indiana. Legal in all 50 states, no background check, and they'll ship it straight to your door. Just go to BYRNA.com today and find the right launcher for you and your family. That's BYRNA.com.
There's a man.
Hey, I'm watching TKPLU. Russ Clark with you. Dean's here.
Glad to be here.
You know, we're getting some noise. I'm going to talk tomorrow. Of course, I've got the conservative caucus going on tomorrow to talk about Iran a little bit.
So from DC?
DC. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Phil. I mean, I said, Jim, well,
Fallon?
I forget the last name, but I'll get it for tomorrow. But
Okay.
But he's going to be calling in tomorrow, which he's always a great guest.
He is. He's always got interesting information.
But I'm going to mention a little bit today that Iran is apparently not doing what they promised, which
Surprise!
is not doing it. But I don't really know exactly what that is, and we have to take their word for some of it because the United States has some information that they are continuing to try to build back ballistic missiles. They're building back the sites that were bombed, and I really don't understand that the sites for ballistic missiles was destroyed by the same aircraft that destroyed the nuclear capability.
I don't know if they were, but I know the Israelis had a lot of strikes also.
Okay. Well, they apparently are working overtime to rebuild those launch sites, which is contrary to the agreement.
Ah.
And that's why we have those, and they're wanting to rebuild the nuclear. And I know to rebuild the nuclear stuff, it would take some time. I mean, it took them years to get to where they had what we eventually destroyed. But apparently they've got some interest in building these nuclear missiles.
Of course.
They've got the missiles, but they don't have a launch site. They're building the launch
The nuclear potential is the gold ring.
Yeah.
And it's that because we see that even superpowers like the United States or China don't mess with nuclear powers, even if they only have a few bombs.
Right. Russia feels like you can't touch me. I have nuclear. And North Korea now.
Exactly.
They had to reach that level that I've got nuclear now. They won't mess with me.
Pakistan.
Nobody was messing with them anyway, to my knowledge. But and Israel.
Oh, Israel, right. Well, I don't know. Look at October 7th. That's a pretty big mess.
Yeah.
And there have been other wars.
Well, look at Russia. Russia's in the middle of a big mess, and they've got nuclear.
But it's not they're invading. They're not being invaded.
Recently, they have been.
Yeah. Okay. But I'm saying is that what we see. I mean, it's like in the Balkans during the Clinton wag the dog war. Wag the dog. If those countries had nuclear weapons, they wouldn't have been invaded.
And I think we handled Russia much differently over the Ukraine issue because of the nuclear weapons.
Absolutely.
We were like, okay, we'll supply Ukraine with weapons, but only defensively and only on their own property.
And the other example I'd give is Libya.
Yeah.
I mean, Muammar Gaddafi had a program they were trying to build nukes. Yeah. And then they saw what the U.S. did in invading Iraq. And they said, we don't want that happening to us. Hey, we will give up our nuclear program. So a few years later, Hillary Clinton says, look at this. There's all this oil to be gotten. So, and I'm simplifying things a tremendous amount. So let's invade Libya, and they end up killing more Gaddafi. So the lesson to the rest of the world was you need nukes to protect yourself.
Agreed. That was terrible.
Yeah.
Not that I loved old Gaddafi, but
he was an interesting guy.
Yeah.
He was probably better than what has happened since.
But Iran has done some. I mean, apparently standing up and say we'll do whatever we want and we'll attack. And the real fear, from what I understand, is that if we attack Iran again, they'll use these missiles and rebuilding those missile platforms to attack Israel. Like if you touch us, we'll attack Israel and all that stuff. So
the problem is that Iran is the biggest problem in the Middle East and has been for decades.
They have funded so much terrorism. That's not even their name. Hezbollah.
Right. And the problem is, how do you get regime change or compliance without putting boots on the ground? And that's the narrow path that Donald Trump is treading. So far, he's doing well.
We haven't gotten there yet. They just seized 2 foreign oil tankers a week ago in the Persian Gulf. Now these oil tankers were apparently not flying flags like they're supposed to, so they're ghost ships.
They're
at the same time,
not declared for a particular country, right?
But they were carrying about 1 trillion liters of smuggled fuel. Now, that's what their claims are. The United States has taken some tankers too, but they tend to take them when they're empty, so there's no spills.
Well, who took these tankers?
Iran.
Iran took them.
Iran took them,
Interesting.
which is kind of interesting. It's not happened. They could have been doing that all along, but they haven't been, because they're kind of rogue themselves.
Well, there's a limit. Their navy is not huge. If these were not flagged, these tankers, then they don't fall under the protection as
they
much.
had false flags or something. They were.
But mostly that's Russian.
Russia was doing that, yeah.
It's interesting. Who are these tankers? Where are they getting fuel? Where are they transporting it from? Who are they giving it to?
Yeah.
Part of a ghost fleet, they call it.
They are.
But we had kind of that problem historically, not with oil tankers, but when the Barbary pirates attacked us, our shipping in the Mediterranean in the early 1800s, well, it was because we had no treaties protecting us. England had a treaty. And once we became independent of England, we no longer had a treaty. So the Barbary pirates said, well, we can enslave these people and take their ships and all that. And eventually we fought wars over it under Thomas Jefferson and came to an agreement with the Barbary states, which were Islamic.
Yeah. And they eventually said, wait, I don't want to mess with you.
Yeah, eventually.
For now.
But it was because of firepower.
Right.
It was peace through superior firepower that did it.
And Trump seems to have taken lessons from that.
Yeah.
Iranian rhetoric has grown more hostile, which we had an agreement, but now it's hostile again.
How can you get more hostile than death to America?
Well, they're threatening right now violence in the Strait of Hormuz. They're saying they're going to shut it down. And 1/5 of the world's oil travels through that. It's a long way around if they don't go.
I think they're playing with fire.
They don't seem to care. It's more of a religious thing.
It does seem that this is driven by fundamentalist Islamic thought.
They're saying the Strait of Hormuz is going to become a killing field for American forces.
Yeah.
That's typical.
But they've been saying that forever.
Yeah.
And the reality is, we took out their nuclear program. The Israelis took out their anti-missile, anti-aircraft program. They just don't have the capability to resist us with force.
But they talked really mean afterwards. They said, "That's
yeah.
And then they killed 36,000 of their own people that were rioting.
Well, yeah, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's certainly possible.
That's an estimate.
They don't seem to have any consideration of their population as a significant good for them, because they don't get the money to exist from the population; they get it from the oil.
I get the feeling that this thing has escalated so far that they sent the Ford over there.
Right.
This is not a test run. It doesn't feel like a test run. I mean, they had the Abraham Lincoln, which is powerful enough, but it's in the Ford.
I think Trump has shown he's willing to use force when it facilitates the interest of the United States.
He hasn't been a bluffer, and he has definitely laid a red line down that if you kill your citizens, you'll pay a price.
Right.
Without saying what that price is.
Right.
But I don't think he's done with it. Now, he said that after they started killing citizens, but they didn't stop.
Right. No, you're right. As far as I can tell, and all of this is, it's not all easy to know reality on this
Nope.
because
We know what we read, and who knows who put that out.
Exactly.
Probably AI. We're out of time. I mean, for this hour, but we'll be back in the next one. AM 560, KBLU.
There's a man.
This is News Talk 560 KBLU, Yuma. Through the snow, looking for missing. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. 9 of them still unaccounted for avalanche near Lake Tahoe, California. Nevada County Sheriff Russell Green tells Fox.
It's in a mountain. It's very visibility. It's hard access.
Rescuers late Tuesday reaching 6 survivors, communicated results through emergency beacons, and took shelter under a tarp. The group on a 3-day guided trip was staying in remote cabins just north of Donner Pass. The slide occurred in the popular backcountry skiing area of Castle Peak in Turkey, California, where an avalanche last month left one man dead.
Lillian Wu. More peace talks today in Geneva between Russia and Ukraine, brokered by American negotiators trying to end that war as Russia gets ready to play war games with Iran.
The joint naval exercises will take place tomorrow in the Sea of Oman and the northern Indian Ocean, not far from some of the warships sent to the region by President Trump to put pressure on Iran. Talks between the U.S. and Iran took place yesterday, with no deal yet on the Iranian nuclear program. Yesterday, Iran temporarily shut the Strait of Hormuz, a key trade route, while it conducted live fire exercises.
Jonathan Savage. There was drama at Houston's Hobby Airport early this morning. A man was taken off a plane in handcuffs after police say he tried to breach the cockpit before a Delta flight took off, believed to be headed for Atlanta. A famous American skier just struck gold at the Winter Olympics. Michaela Schifrin in the women's slalom. This victory ended an 8-year drought without an Olympics medal. The most decorated alpine skier ever, Schifrin had gone 8 starts in Olympic competition without a medal. Wednesday's victory in Italy, Schifrin's 3rd career gold medal and first since the 2014 Olympics. Schifrin holds the world record for the most World Cup skiing victories with 108. Fox's Jared Mack. America's listening to Fox News.
This month, is honoring Jackson and Lincoln by offering unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25 a month. Meanwhile, Big Wireless is honoring Ben Franklin by charging families hundreds of dollars for the same 5G coverage. What? Franklin wasn't even a president. Hang on to those bets. Dial pound 250, say micro, and save 50% off your first month. That's pound 250, micro, to switch to an American wireless company that's truly unprecedented. Pure talk.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient of Lucky Larry's Landscaping, Larry! Larry saves his business money with a quick commercial auto quote from Progressive. Does it help he's his own marketing manager, accountant, executive assistant, and never been late? Technically, yes, but saving really put him over the edge. So, Larry, give Larry a round of applause. Be your own Larry. See if you could save as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company.
In a world where Wi-Fi battles and bandwidth never enough, one family dares to connect it all. Work from home, influence all day, stream all night, and game to win. Deadlines, downloads, and dance-offs, all happening under one roof, flawlessly. Can your internet provider do that? Fiber fuel your house at allofiber.com/all-in.
March 6th, 7th, and 8th will be a weekend for true entertainment and hundreds of classic cars and trucks. Tonight at the Oasis, how about a free warm-up with the rally on Main Street? Thursday evening, March 5th, from 6 to 8. It's a preview of Midnight at the Oasis. The rally on Main Street is in downtown Yuma, and it features classic cars and trucks on display, along with music from the Chavez family band. And it's free for the entire family. Thursday evening, March 5th, from 6 to 8. It's the rally on Main Street in downtown Yuma, another Caballero signature event.
There's a man in D.C.
AM 560 KBLU, Russ Clark with you. Dean's here.
Glad to be here.
Want to talk about Janine
Giro?
Pereiro? Yeah.
Yeah.
She, and I guess I didn't understand this. I got called the other day that Janine Pirro was had a gun pulled on by a police officer or something.
No, I didn't hear that.
Well, so I did some. I got in. I said, "Let me." So of course, I start fact checking, looking at it. No, it was fictional. It was not true.
Created by AI.
Well, there was a lot of articles that referenced it.
Yeah.
But it was a YouTube video, Mason, not articles. YouTube video, and it said that it wasn't, that it was AI generated. It didn't even look like her completely, and so it wasn't even true.
But people started referencing.
So be careful of that stuff.
Yeah. Oh, you have to be.
Of course.
Yes.
So
And-
that didn't happen as far as I know.
And something that I think I mentioned before, my brother first showed it to me, is there are people out there making articles about animals, claiming they're doing certain things, and they're AI generated, and they're fake.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of them.
The gorilla one that's out there. As soon as I saw it, I knew it was fake.
Is the gorilla one about a lion and the gorilla or something?
I don't remember that.
But they're out there, and unless you have an intimate knowledge of how animals react, it's easy to fall for these things, and it's a terrible way. It's programming us to accept a false understanding of reality.
Correct. I was watching. There is one that Helen and I like to watch. There's a little one on YouTube that has like a young boy and a young girl giving the dialogue of adults and jokes and stuff, and it's hilarious and it's well done and it's just a joke. We don't look at it as real,
right?
But yeah, it would be scary to put the real stuff. I mean, the animal stuff, and we can look at it. Yeah, that's fake. It's fake. It's too perfect.
Well, yeah.
But Janine Pirro said the United States will never stop seeking justice for Americans killed by terrorists. And this one's real. This is not a fake one. And that's after the arrest of Zubair al-Bakoush. Well, he's one of the leaders of the 2012 attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi.
Yeah.
Which,
I read some of this.
I remember the Benghazi story when it first came out. Was a tragedy, and it was unnecessary, and it was just a drop in leadership.
Oh, tremendous!
And that was Hillary Clinton.
I believe so.
Who didn't answer the phone at 2 a.m. and didn't want to do
Well,
anything.
and they had these policies. People on the scene started reacting and doing the right thing, and they were told to stand down,
and they ignored it. And those guys became heroes. They saved lives.
So some of them, other people didn't ignore it. I don't know, because I haven't researched it extensively, but I recall that there were supposedly fighter aircraft that were started to go to aid and were called back.
That's true. And they even did a movie about it. I don't know if you ever saw the movie.
I did not see the movie.
I saw the movie. Plus, I got to meet some of the guys. That were on the ground. Now, the guys on the ground were told to stand down, and they knew the aircraft were canceled even. And they said there's lives to save, and that's what we do.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to evacuate, and they stayed and saved lives, but there were still people killed.
Yes.
Including an ambassador, I think.
Right. Stevens, wasn't it? Ambassador Stevens.
Janine says the American cavalry never came.
Right.
To our disappointment in 2012. And that was leadership. That was, Hillary Clinton, Obama was president, Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State.
Right.
We're coming for you now. We've got him. We've got a lot more coming. She slammed Obama for not bringing in consequences for al-Bakoush, and the others responsible for the attack that left 4 Americans dead. Well, there's a lot more than 4 Americans as far as damage and injuries and shot.
Yes.
I mean, these heroes that held off the attack so the more people lived took injuries themselves.
Oh yeah.
If they weren't killed. And they spoke at the 2016 Republican convention, which I went to.
Cool.
It was really good to hear it firsthand from them. That was before the movie came out. The president said we did everything we could. They didn't do everything they could. Americans watched in horror as 4 Americans are being killed, not by peaceful protesters that went awry. And yeah, it was protest, and it went into full combat.
I think it was designed to be combat from the
Of
start,
course.
and the protest was merely a cover.
Of
And I
course.
recall the administration at the time, I think it was the Obama, yeah, it was the Obama administration, saying, "Oh, well, this was all about a movie, somebody watching a movie
That's right.
somewhere."
I'd forgotten about that.
And I thought that doesn't make sense, and it didn't.
But the thing which should have been over very quickly because they were told to stand down lasted for hours.
Yeah.
And they were able to save lives and stuff, but it wasn't without huge amounts of casualties on the other side.
Right. Oh, yes. And there's a lot of question. I don't know because I haven't examined this closely about whether it was because the Obama administration didn't want certain activities to be seen or known about.
I don't know that I've ever heard a good explanation of it, except that it didn't happen that way. According to they just moved on, Obama and Hillary, and no
Right.
reporters really jumped into it.
Well,
But
there were people who investigated and came out, and eventually we got a good bit of knowing
but
how
that-
it was mishandled.
but the press never pushed
No,
it.
no, correct.
Let's take a phone call. You're on there.
Russ, it's Ted again.
Hey, Ted again.
Hey, Dean, have you ever heard of the 400?
Well, 400 is a pretty common number, but I'm not catching your reference.
It's in reference to FMC Foyer in the early 19th century. Never heard of it?
No, it's not ringing a bell.
Okay. Because this is where what we're in right now stems from that ideology of that FMC Foyer.
I don't know what that is. Explain it.
Okay. Foyer was a socialist, basically. He believed that the only way to fix this problem in this country was division of the society into small cooperative communities.
Was he a famous mathematician?
I don't know that far into it.
Okay.
I don't have AI, so I can't go that deep into it. I just have to go by books.
Go ahead.
But the 400 was basically the Rodhams, Hillary's parents, and some other group in this country. They were an exclusive group of the community, very wealthy, traditionally wealthy. And they have pushed this through our society. I can spell the name.
Spell it.
FOURIER.
Yeah.
FMC Foyer.
I think he said there's a famous mathematician with that name, maybe the same person. I'm not sure.
It could be. It doesn't say that about him, but he basically just believed in small divisions of this country. And the 400 were the small division. Wealthy. And I'm hoping that remember when Musk was up in the Oval Office and they were having a little spat, him and
Right.
okay, I'd hate to believe that through his success in life that he thinks he may be part of the 400. Musk.
Well, it doesn't appear that way because he's upsetting a lot of apple carts.
And I think maybe Donald saw that coming out of him. And he just couldn't tolerate that. Trump couldn't tolerate that.
I don't know. No, I'm lost, and I really don't know what it's all about.
It's the wealthy controlling geopolitical things. I mean, that's what the 400 were.
Do they still exist?
Every day, brother.
All right, man. Give me some literature,
All right.
and I'll do some research. Appreciate it, man.
All right.
Bye. There's probably a lot of organizations like that.
Well, sure, the Bilderbergers, the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations.
Yeah.
I mean, all of them tend to be well-connected people that are smart and have access to power. And I think wealthy people in any era at any time tend to collaborate collaborate with each other and shape society in the way they want.
Right.
So I'd say they are worse at it today than they have been through most of history.
Why would you say worse? Because you got like the Soros's guys or something, or
Because we have democratized power in the United States more than anywhere else that has ever existed.
Right.
And now people have access to information that they couldn't get before because of the internet, which is why they're trying to censor it and make it difficult. And people lead better, healthier lives. I mean, a poor person in America today has access to technology that would have been magic 200 years ago.
probably true.
Air conditioning, even most of the wealthy people in the world 200 years ago did not have running water, did not have hot running water,
No.
did not have motorized transport, couldn't get to the United States from Europe in less than a day, did not have the medicine we have, still suffered from most of the diseases, didn't understand that overeating was bad for you. I mean, people today live materially better lives in a lot of ways than a lot of rich people did 200 years ago.
I can see that. Oh, absolutely. Of course, we're still going to call them poverty, even though poverty from 200 years ago is a much different deal.
It's much different. I mean, most people in most of the world, now there's still pockets of extreme poverty, but most people in most of the world don't have to worry about whether or not they're going to have food to eat next week.
Yeah, poverty in the United States is what brand of cell phone do you have, and do you have a good car? But you still have a car, still have a cell phone in poverty.
We have people that are suffering from hunger in the United States.
Sure.
It's mostly children whose parents are on drugs or alcohol, or for what other reason?
Life choices.
Yes.
And-
But I
and
mean,
they-
it's not the children making
No.
life choices, but if parents are not willing to take care of their children, they have problems.
They don't call it hunger as much as food insecurity.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and hunger has a very interesting definition today, and I have to look at the latest one. But I think what they call hunger is did you have access to all the food you wanted to eat of the kinds you wanted at any time? If you didn't, you've been hungry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They've had to have changed many times.
So
let me wrap up on this Benghazi thing with Janine Pero. She, I mean, it's mentioned that it was September 11th, 2012. Grenades, AK-47s, and they stormed the compound, began shooting them. So.
There were mortars. Yeah.
Yeah, there was. Oh yeah, it wasn't just a mob. It was military.
It was a fairly well organized military group.
Yeah. But she says Benghazi's she's blaming the Obama administration. Knew at the time immediately that an attack was a coordinated assault, not a protest that spiraled out of control. She questioned why more was not done to protect Americans on the grounds, like flying F-16s overhead to disperse the crowds, which they were called up at one time, and like you said, shut down before they really left.
Before they could get there, yeah.
Yeah. Benghazi was the most dangerous place on earth for Americans, and they put them there without protection, and they lied to us on the Sunday morning talk shows. Exactly right.
Exactly, yeah.
Right afterwards. I forget who it was, black lady that went to like five different shows on Sunday or something.
Yeah,
and
I'm not going to say a name because I don't want to get it wrong.
I forget the name. They lied to us in Congress. It was only through President Trump that we're now getting some kind of justice. I didn't realize it. I mean, we knew the story all along.
Right.
Movies written and done. But what has Trump uncovered? I guess now they're making arrests under Trump.
Well, what has happened is that Trump wants to punish the people who did this.
Yeah.
Which I think is the correct action.
Well,
Whereas the previous administration, even Trump in his first term, was probably stymied by people in the intelligence community who were opposed to him.
Right.
So Obama did not want to punish the people who were involved.
Because he dropped the ball.
Well, I think it's more because he's more ideologically aligned with the people involved than he was with the United States.
Maybe.
I mean, Obama and Biden both essentially worked hard to aid Iran. They gave Iran lots of money, billions of dollars. There's various ways that they claim that was right and possible. They basically made a pathway for Iran with the Iranian deal to get nuclear weapons, although they claimed the opposite. There's no question in my mind that the Obama and Biden administrations were pro-Iranian. But Iran has been anti-American since the Ayatollahs took over. Very strongly anti-American. We haven't recognized their government as legitimate in that whole period. And
Really? Okay.
and the Iranians are very, very clear that they want the destruction of the United States.
And Israel.
And Israel. Yeah, Israel's called the little Satan, and
We're
the United States is the big Satan.
Because we got bigger guns.
We're a bigger society, more successful, have power all over the world.
Yeah.
And so why we should promote Iranian interests over our own seems absolutely insane.
But it's, or give them money. Now, some of that money was theirs that was
Right.
frozen, but to give it to them just spurred on more money for terrorists and more killing.
Right. Now, during the, let's see, I think it's the Reagan administration, there was some back channel negotiations with trying to sell arms to Iran for money to fund the Contra war, if you recall it, the Iran-Contra scandal and all that, all of the North and so on. So even if you don't recognize the government, if they're a power and you want to accomplish things, there are back channels and things that happen. But it's very clear to me that Obama and Biden both seem to have tremendous favor for Iran, and it's hard to understand why, other than Iran was anti-US.
Yep.
And Iran has been one of the major sources of our problems in the Middle East for decades. It's been almost 50 years now, I think.
Yeah. The Vatican declined to join Trump's Gaza border peace. That just came out.
Yeah.
Do you know what the border peace is, actually? Trump is trying to put this together.
Right.
And I don't know exactly how many he's got so far, but to be a board member, and this is to get Gaza back on its feet, to rebuild Gaza, and to help bring a lasting peace. Because we don't have peace there yet, really, but we've got more ceasefire right now.
It hasn't really been peace there for 75 years.
But Trump wants to basically build peace through economics, which to be on the board, you have to pledge more than $5 billion in aid for Gaza. That's a big ticket.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. The Vatican declined the Porlin is the Vatican Secretary of State, Cardinal Porlin, and he said the Holy See will not participate in the Board of Peace because of its particular nature, which is evidently not that of other states. Which I agree.
Okay, but that's like not telling us. So what is it that you don't like about the nature?
Well,
I mean, there's got to be a reason.
The Board of Peace was started in January. It includes 20 countries. It's tasked with managing recovery efforts in Gaza Strip. Does Vatican really manage recovery efforts? I think that's not
Does the Vatican do that? Well, I think the Vatican could add legitimacy to the idea that we're forming an international organization
as an advisory
to help bring Gaza under control so that we don't have more war and massacres between most Gaza and everywhere else, particularly Israel.
The Vatican Secretary of State, which is weird, the church has a Secretary of State, but anyway, they do.
Well, they are.
Parolin says, there are points that leave us somewhat perplexed. There are some critical points that would need to find explanations. The important thing is that an attempt is being made to provide a response. However, for us, there are certain critical issues that should be resolved. It's like we're talking to Vice President Harris.
It is. There's these critical issues, but we can't tell you what they are.
Well, it goes on. Well, one concern is at the international level, it should above all be in the UN that manages these crisis situations. This is one of the points on which we have insisted.
Oh, so the Vatican is saying the UN is sacrosanct and cannot be worked around. That's kind of a weird position.
I'm not really a fan of the UN, and Trump is not really.
Right.
Pope Leo is the first U.S. Pope, which is still kind of miraculous that they picked a Pope from the United States. You see, he received an invitation to join the Peace Board in January. Leaders from 17 countries participated in the initial charter signing ceremony in Davos in late January, including presidents and other senior government officials from Latin America, Europe, Middle East, Central America, Asia. Israel formally joined the board last week. And several other countries are also invited: Russia, Belarus, France.
I thought
Germany.
Russia agreed.
I didn't know if they did or not, but it's not saying here. Vietnam, Finland, Ukraine, Ireland, Greece, and China. Now, Poland and Italy on Wednesday said they would not join. Maybe they don't have the $5 billion. I don't know. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Hey, Russ, how you doing?
Doing well. Good morning, Gilbert.
It's beautiful. I had breakfast and getting ready to do some more work, but that wind might stop me from doing work. Don't want to get my hair all.
We can only hope, man. We'll pray for you for when.
So I was listening to you and Ted a while ago, and he's talking about this person. But my opinion, like biblically, look at all the tribes that we had during that time. And what I'm getting at, you have your sorcerers and all them. There are a lot of different tribes in this world working together to destroy the world as we know it, to get their one world government. They're everywhere. They're in the GOP. They're in the Democratic Party. They're everywhere. Anywhere where there are people enlisted to make something of themselves,
Yeah.
they're contributing to corruption.
Oh, we're up against a lot of powers that are just not good for us. Pretty evil stuff.
Right. And just like all the tribes during the biblical times going out destroying each other, that's what's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
It's greed, the greed of power. And there's only maybe 4 or 5 people that are in charge of all these different tribes. And that's what's happening.
Yeah, I think I don't think it's a majority for sure. And there's a small amount of people.
Yeah, but that minority is pretty damn strong. We can see it.
They got armies of people.
They got armies of people. And these people are like Antifa.
Yeah.
Antifa and the KKK and the neo-Nazis. Those are all different armies out to destroy.
If you got enough money, you can hire a pretty good size army.
Oh yeah. And then we even got that same army in our educational system.
Yeah.
It's quite obvious. That's what we're dealing. Well, they definitely destroyed the morality of the United States of America. We're starting to get it back, but they had their army out there educating us that it's okay to be transgender. It's okay to go to a man to go in a woman's bathroom. It's okay. They're out there. That army is out there educating people to say, yes, it is. It's okay to do that. It's okay to destroy your body. It's okay. It's okay to kill people.
Yeah.
We had a big army saying it's okay to abort for whatever reason we got.
It's changing, but I'll tell you, the people on the side of chaos are not going down quietly. And
no.
And they're laying in wait. Some of it was that scientists I talked early on about. That industry of government paid scientists is huge, and they want back in power. They want their money back.
The question you need to ask yourself, Russ, and ask the people, and try to get him. And Dean's a pretty smart guy.
Yeah.
Dean, why in the world did our government allow people to make lab meat?
Well, private business. I don't think that there is any clause in the Constitution that gives the government power to say you can't experiment with making artificial meat.
But there's enough people that's working with the government to push that narrative.
There is, yes. I agree with you.
Well, thank you.
There are. The problem is that and I would say it goes back to the progressives that believe that we should be ruled by experts. And so they've been working for probably 70 years to create this cadre of unelected officials in the administrative state that don't answer to any voter, and they generally don't even answer to people in the government, like Congress, because the power to fund them has been watered down so much that Congress can no longer hold them to account by funding. And so these people have agendas of their own, and sometimes those agendas are antithetical to what most of the rest of us might want, but they have power and they go forward with them.
Exactly. Prime example. 76% of the Democratic Party want voter ID. 76%.
That's a very good point.
And then 90 something percent of the Republican Party want voter ID. And the same thing with the Independent Party. They want ID. They want voter ID. But we have, 12 people in Congress really pushing that narrative. No, we don't, because women won't be able to vote and blah, 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 blah.
Buddy, I think it's the whole Democrat Party in Congress, except for Fetterman.
Well, I understand that. What I'm getting at, there's only 4 or 5 people with that power to instruct the rest of the Democratic Party to vote no. Everybody else probably wants to vote yes for the ID, but they won't because, like you said, Russ, money. The money for their political agenda.
Yeah.
Well,
So
power.
they don't want to. Yeah,
Power,
they don't want
money,
to.
so-
They don't want to tip. They don't want to tip. What's that? Don't tip the bucket or whatever the hell it's called. But we have that. We had a woman. I was watching Facebook this morning. Just somebody was in Yuma, and this lady's talking about. There's a lot of minorities that don't want to go to the hospital because or get health care because they're afraid of ICE that coming after them. The ICE is waiting for them there.
Well, I wish that were true because our health costs would be way down if that were true. Unfortunately, we have thousands of illegals on the health care.
Oh,
we're talking about here in
millions,
Yuma.
probably.
Yeah.
This woman was talking about here in Yuma. I want to see at least 5 people that she's talking about. Bring those 5 people up to tell us, yes, we are. This woman, and I'm sorry to say her last name was Hernandez, and that just hit me right in the huevos, that these people are afraid to go to the hospital to get health care because they know that ICE is there waiting for them to get them.
If that were
So she's saying they're here illegally?
Well, that's what I'm getting. That they won't go to the health care because they're here illegally, and that ICE will get them. Now, is she saying that because they're Latino, Hispanic, whatever you want to call them, or is she making up figures, numbers?
It's because they're illegal. But
yeah,
I don't see that to be the case because, man, we've got illegals everywhere getting free health care in this country.
Yes.
Just look in the emergency room.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is she's saying here in Yuma. That's what I'm concerned about. What happens in Pennsylvania happens in Pennsylvania. But what she's saying to me on the thread on Facebook that ICE is waiting outside the hospital to get illegal. Illegals.
Yeah. So her argument is don't enforce the law because people are afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah. In other words, don't go to the hospital. She's telling me that if I'm illegal, go to the hospital because they're waiting for you.
There may be some individuals that say that, but look, Dr. Trenchel, wrote it up a year or two ago about the losses at the hospital because of illegals.
I was
He
going to say,
came right out with it.
She's telling us that we should not enforce our law because somebody from another country might be afraid of getting free health care here.
Yeah. Well, that's basically it.
Well, that she's saying that and spewing fear.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
She's spewing fear. Again, there's another part of the army that's out there to destroy America.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of armies out there. And, we need to pray. We need to get on our knees and pray for the Lord to give us strength, power, and the knowledge how to beat them.
We should send all these people home so they can get health care in their home country.
Well, what would happen if a gringo
was in Mexico trying to get a job, and a gringo was in Mexico trying to get health care.
Yeah.
I'm saying gringo because me, I can get away with it because the color of my skin.
Most countries wouldn't do what we do.
They'd ask, where's the money?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, like Ted was talking, I think that was Ted was talking to you about this guy, but I'm just trying to relate that there are a lot of armies, and I believe there might be 5-10 people that are leaders in all these armies.
Well, that's
And
in
they're
any
spread-
army.
What's that?
That's in any army. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm just getting that they're all individuals spread all over the world. They got their own little powers, just like all those people in Iran. Most of those people in Iran want to go fishing. They want to go hang out with mama and have a good time and make kids. They don't want to go out and fight.
Well, there's a lot of them going out and protesting, and that happened, and a lot of them got killed for doing it.
Right.
Yes, because that government is allowed to do that because the fear that they've ingested in their people.
Yeah. Well, that's the only
Remember
way
when
the people in power can stay in power. They got to shut it down.
Remember those women way back when they would walk around in miniskirts?
Oh, in the 70s? Yeah.
Yeah. Remember how beautiful they were? Beautiful women?
They might still be beautiful to women, but they're not pretty covered up.
They're pretty covered up. Yeah. And you know, the totalitarian enforcement through the violence.
And
that's how they've done.
And that's up to each country to do what they want like that. But but this country's been protesting, and you get killed. You know, if you protest. Yeah.
And I'm reading a lot of stuff about us getting involved with Iran again. Well, if we're going to do that, which I hope we don't, let's do it right and get that son of a gun. Ooh, I almost said the other word. Out of power completely.
Well,
destroy that government.
There's
no eradicate. We already had our two Vietnams. The first Vietnam was Korea. The second Vietnam was Vietnam.
And I like that we didn't invade, Venezuela, and we were able to get some concessions. And who knows how long that lasts? But right now, there's such fear of us because we demonstrated a power they didn't know existed.
Now I am skeptical. I said the word wrong, but you know what I'm saying. About us sending our Navy SEALs into Mexico to help train their military how to fight the cartel.
They've been doing that for a while.
Not the scale that they want to do now. Because that same army that we're going to train can be compromised by the cartel.
Well, cartels had hired some of the ex-military that were trained, and they
formed their own cartel.
Yeah.
Yeah, they formed they've done. So I'm worried about us taking our Navy SEALs in there, showing them how to do our military stuff.
Well,
I really am.
if nobody's trained, then the cartels win. There's got to be something. I don't know the answers, but
it's a difficult problem.
Yeah.
But you see where I'm getting at. You see how they can be bribed.
Well,
we saw the South Vietnamese. What did they do when we said, "Okay, you guys are on your own now. You need to take care of your government."
I think it's a real concession, by the president of Mexico, who says under no conditions is you going to have any actions on this soil, and now they're invited in to do additional training. I don't know where it's going to go, but Scheinbaum may be softening her approach on military involvement from the U.S.
No, because I'm a pessimist.
Okay.
And a realist.
All right.
I think she did that because she is involved with the cartel. That's already been proven, and she listened to them. I believe they talked her into saying, "Yeah, let's do that, and we'll get money from the U.S. to help train our troops, and then we're going to turn on them."
Gilbert,
either one could be true.
I think you realize that the cartels they are cartels. There's quite a few of them. And they're not all unified and they don't all act together. But certainly almost anyone in the Mexican government, maybe not all, but almost anyone is under influence of one cartel or another in a lot of ways.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm saying, Dean. That's why I'm worried. That's what I'm worried.
Wow.
And again, I love my country and I love Mexico. I love my Latino brothers and sisters, but the corruption that lays in Mexico is frightening to me.
It is, and unfortunately, it's mostly funded by the money coming from the cartels.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at, Dean. That's exactly what I'm getting at. But anyway,
Thank
I
you,
still
buddy.
my 5 minutes of caca today.
Take
So
care.
you go out and have a good one.
All right,
Bye.
man. Bye-bye, Mr. Gilbert. And we touched on something that, I saw a video of a undercover guy that went to a school, because we started talking about schools influence and stuff.
In what country?
United States.
Okay.
Okay. He just undercover reporting type of stuff. And he dressed like a real woke individual. He said he was a dad. He identified himself as a dad. And he was wearing like a yellow scarf and a nose ring and talked like he was a very much a woke individual. And he stopped a teacher outside a school, and it looked to be a grade school or maybe a junior high, and said, "My daughter, we're looking for a place for my daughter to go. Is this a good school?" She said, "Yeah, it's a good school." Says, "Well, my daughter is transitioning, and I'm proud of her for all that." She said, "Oh, well, we've got a lot of such students here, and it's going to be a great place and all that." And she says, "Oh," he says, "Oh, that's good. We're looking for the right location." And she said, "But I noticed that you have an ice not allowed sticker in your window of your school." She says, "Oh, absolutely. You're protected from that." She says, "So isn't excluding people contrary to some of your philosophies that people are excluded?" And she started getting the whiff real quick that this guy was a plant. Like, well, they don't have any legal authority here, so you would throw them out. Absolutely, we'd throw them out. Well, isn't that what you're blaming the government for doing with illegal aliens? Throwing them out? Well, how do you justify that? And it kept going on from there, that this guy was saying, "Well, you're acting just like the government,
just like the people you're opposing."
You're opposing." And she was like, "You need to get out of here. Can you show me some ID?" He says, "Well, you need papers to prove who I am. I'm telling you, I'm just a dad." "Well, no, you need to show me ID." Well, then that would you claim that the United States is doing to illegals, that we make them show IDs and it's not fair? How can you ask me to do that? If you don't show me ID, I'm going to call the police and have you thrown out. You throw me out? I thought you were a welcoming community.
Yeah.
Oh, it was really well done. I don't know if it was staged or not, but it made a great point.
Yeah.
It was definitely done from school, but whether or not it was staged or not, I have no idea. But it was.
It's hard to know.
It was a great skit, one way or the other.
Right.
It
And
pointed out a lot of hypocrisies.
I've been saying for a while, YouTube is more entertaining than the old networks ever were.
Oh, it's better than Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live, I think, has gotten the message. They tried to change a little bit and be a little bit more open to making a few puns on the Democrat class.
Yeah.
Very little, but a little bit.
But look at what it cost to produce Saturday Night Live. And look at what it cost this YouTuber to produce his little skit.
Yeah, and those are great points. And that's what technology is doing for us.
It is.
You know,
And
we can do with an iPhone now what used to take.
That's right. And it's one of the reasons the upper crust or the very wealthy people are having a harder time controlling everybody, is because everybody has so much technological ability. Not everybody's going to be a YouTuber, but enough of them are that you can't stop the signal.
Correct. They've got great editing powers. It's fairly
Incredible
inexpensive to doing that.
Right.
But you talk about technology, I just want to mention Ukraine real quick. But because the technology keeps multiplying as far as
accelerating,
the way it's used and everything, and
Right.
they're pulling in. It's not like they're creating new stuff, but they're being creative on using it in different ways.
Sure.
New technology, particularly into the drone warfare and stuff. And I've been more and more amazed all the time that I watch this. And one of the most useful advances they've made in the last few weeks is having Starlink blocked for Russia.
Yes, I read about that.
Starlink is over the area, and they offered services to Ukraine early on,
right,
to help them with information, net and
And
internet
Russia
and
worked
stuff
hard
and
to
all that.
try to jam them.
Well, at first, but
they failed.
But what Russia did eventually was they pirated ways to access Starlink, and they were using it in the same ways for information, controlling drones
Right,
and all that.
exactly.
And then Elon found some way to just block them.
Well, yes. I mean, because there are areas
location, maybe.
controlled by the Ukraine and areas controlled by Russia. And he can figure out, because the way the terminals
took him
are,
so long?
they have a GPS built into them, I believe.
But he blinded them.
So he can decide because each terminal is identified digitally which terminals to turn off.
And he did it. Which I don't know what took so long because it's been going on for a couple of years.
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
I mean, not everything is perfect.
No. But with this blinding of Russia now on some of their drones, which were directing more fire and everything else, apparently it's another step of destruction, more destruction for Russia. Not that it's stopped anything, but it's
Well-
made advancements in Ukraine, which is unusual. They usually don't advance.
Well, this is a fairly static war.
Yes.
It's being pushed back and forth, but it's almost World War I in that there's a front line that doesn't move much either way.
Right.
And
Or slowly if it does.
right. And so this is another potential advance. I think you'll see a countermeasure some way or another. I mean, unless one side actually finds a way to break out of this conflict that has become semi-stable, our best hope is for Donald Trump to negotiate a ceasefire.
I don't think it's going to be possible. At least it hasn't been up to this date. And Putin keeps saying, okay, we'll do it. We'll talk. Not talking. He just keeps dragging that.
Well, I
that
find it
on.
interesting that Vladimir Zelensky, is it Vladimir? No, I'm combining
very
words
close.
probably. Anyway, but the president of Ukraine has come out and said, how dare the U.S. negotiate away land that Russia hasn't conquered?
True. They did that.
But that tells me the negotiations are moving, that something is happening.
But they did that a while ago. You say recently that's happened?
Recently, yeah. It's supposed to be. Well, I've just heard it in the last couple of days.
Putin's having real problems at Homeland now.
Well, and this is another thing. If the Starlink was very important to Russia's military efforts and it's been cut off, then that's a blow. And the Vladimir Putin may be saying, get what we can while we can.
He might have reached that point.
It's possible.
And of course, that's the point you want to be, and then it's a negotiation at that point.
Right. But I mean, it can go either way, and things change rapidly. So we
But
want to
Zelensky
stop
wants to do it less. The more it looks like they're getting.
Well, of course.
More technology superior.
What you need is for both sides to realize they have more to gain by a ceasefire than to lose by a ceasefire.
Yeah. Hopefully it happens. I would have thought it would have happened by now because it became very obvious it was. Do you know what's gone on longer than what Russia fought the Nazis in World War II? They have fought Ukrainians longer than they fought Nazis in World War II.
Right. It's a horrible.
I mean, the losses for the Nazis, I think, were a lot more because it was fought on Russian soil.
Well, yes, and probably the armies were bigger, both sides.
Yeah. But they were talking like 20 million or something, or more,
outrageous.
Some crazy thing. Which now the losses are not small.
No, and I think the only person I can see who seems to have the most sense in all of this is President Trump.
Yeah. But he's not talking a language Ukraine likes either when they say
you're not going to get a settlement that both sides love.
Nope. But Ukraine is
you'll probably get a settlement that both sides grudgingly accept.
Probably. But they're asked to give up 20% of their territory.
Right. But most of it's already under control of Russia.
Right. Russia wants more than they control now.
Right. So what are they giving up? They should be giving up something else.
And they've pushed hard in the last year. I mean, they've been pushing harder and harder, thinking they can control what they're asking for, and they haven't been able to.
It hasn't been pretty stalemate, pretty much of a stalemate.
It hasn't moved. Well, yeah.
People on both sides have talked about making breakthroughs. The Russians, particularly, because I'm on a forum where a bunch of people promoting Russia say, look at all these breakthroughs, but it just doesn't really happen.
No.
They gain a little bit, they lose a little bit. They gain a little bit, they lose a little bit.
Yeah, they don't talk about that. Just glory today. We moved 2 feet.
Well, and there's always the possibility that there will be a breakthrough. That one side will become exhausted one way or another.
Yes.
I mean, it can happen. It ordinarily does happen. Usually these kind of wars don't go on forever, at least in the modern era. But we had wars in Europe at the end of the medieval period or during it that lasted 100 years.
I saw a report on Ukraine that said something changed that's drastically different, and that is that Ukraine, under this new leadership militarily, is on the offensive, and they've been very good at the defensive. And they give up a little ground at time.
Yes,
pull back, pull back.
they've given up ground for immense casualties on the other side.
Correct. But now they're on the offense, which has been a total different thing, and that kind of coincided with the loss of the Starlink.
Starlink. And it may be, but again, I don't think it's been going on long enough to say they're winning.
No.
It's mostly this stalemate on both sides. Both sides desperately trying to get an advantage one way or another. It going back and forth little by little. And in the meantime, hundreds, thousands, and tens of thousands of people are dying.
Oh, every day. People are dying every day in that thing.
Right.
It's just amazing that it's going on like that. And it keeps escalating. I mean, it's more people getting hurt now than in the early part. With the exception of the first week or so.
I just don't know. I think our ability to understand the numbers are just not good enough to be certain how much is going up and down in casualties.
A lot of videos of the destruction, though, in Russia, like oil.
Oil
plants.
I mean, and that's been, it's kind of asymmetrical.
Within the last year.
The Ukrainians have been more capable of hitting some critical Russian infrastructure far afield than the Russians have been able to, even though they've hit considerable critical infrastructure inside Ukraine.
Right.
But it's not exactly the same. But again, we have this stalemate sort of situation.
The Ukrainians have been sending drones into Moscow on a regular basis now, and that's a public relations deal.
Yes, I think that's part of it. They want to demoralize the Russian population, say the cost is too high for what we're getting.
Well, apparently, the leadership in Russia under Putin has always been, we'll tax you and you'll have to pay for it, but we're going to give you an impenetrable.
We're going to gain.
We're not going to. You're not going to lose anything in Moscow. We're going to cover you. We're going to protect you, and it's breaking down.
It reminds me a little bit about Japan. We can strike the United States; they can't strike us.
Right.
Well, they learn differently.
Yeah, but I haven't seen the major shift in Russia. You keep hearing rumors.
No, I have not seen a major shift, but it's, it's this stalemate doesn't gain either side, and they both lose. The big winner in this war is China.
Yeah, they're selling to both sides probably. Now, have you seen the mud that's created? I mean, this is typical for this time of year. But the mud is worse than anything you can imagine. I mean, it showed.
No, I haven't.
I saw a lot of footage of Ukrainians walking through
it's right out of World War I.
Yeah, they have, but they even named it a season of the mud. But I don't remember the name of it. But it's almost impossible.
Yeah, it's nasty, horrible stuff.
And it soaks right through your boot. Everything's wet and it's still cold.
Yep.
It's a miserable.
Well, of course, in the middle of winter, that stuff would freeze. But
now it's soft enough to be water.
It's just horrible. I'm glad I'm not there. And I have tremendous sympathy for the people who are fighting and dying on both sides. And it just seems something Trump has the right idea. Stop it.
Russia apparently has been having some infrastructure problems because they've had sanctions and they can't get stuff for the locomotives like bearings and stuff like that, which is a normal routine maintenance change.
Yes.
They can't get them. So they've been getting those cheap ones out of China. And they're not holding up because they have extreme cold in Russia and bearings are breaking. Track is breaking because they have no maintenance. And they've got major problems because that's their...
I mean, that's happening. And you have Ukraine struggling to keep its electrical infrastructure going.
All true.
I mean, you're right. And I think it's all part of the same puzzle that we're seeing.
Well, except Ukraine has been hit on from day one on their infrastructure.
Right.
Russia was pretty much free of that for the first couple of years.
I think Ukraine is being successful at degrading more Russian infrastructure.
Some of the degrading is coming at their own fault
because
they pulled back on maintenance. They pulled back so everything could go toward a war effort. And now it's breaking down.
That's right.
Tracks are breaking down. Trains are breaking down.
But I don't think it's anything that we can say the end of the war is near because they can't fight.
Now, if we have trucks, no, I'm not saying that, but they're getting hurt more and more. But if it happened in our country, the trains broke down. We just put it in a truck and send it. They don't have the fuel for that because all the fuel's gone.
Their infrastructure is in some ways not as robust as ours.
No,
but
they're still building.
But they have certain advantages politically. The leadership has more control of the information flow to Russia.
Yep.
That's critical for maintaining the war. I'm trying to not be partisan one way or the other.
No, I agree with you.
I mean, and I'm not saying that I believe that Russia is mostly at fault for the war, but they acted on bad information. I believe that
which
President
was their
Putin,
information.
yes, had his spies, his intelligence agencies in Ukraine, thought they had purchased the right people in Ukraine so they would be unopposed mostly, and that turned out to be a false assumption.
Yeah.
And so we're in this horrible mess, and it's hard to get out of it. Hopefully, the United States can figure a way to bring those two sides to the negotiating table and stop the killing.
I really thought it could happen last year because there's so much going on
Yes.
as far as negatives to both countries.
Right.
That I thought would happen last year. But it's worse today than it was 6 months ago.
And I don't see Hillary Clinton complaining about the Ukrainian war while she's at this conference in Europe. Instead, she complains about President Trump not doing the right thing by NATO, which is like absolutely absurd and opposite of what I've seen.
And he's even doing too much for immigration reform.
Yeah.
And even Hillary came out and said about immigration that it was too much. Well, she said that maybe, during the Biden, she didn't mention my name, with the prior president, we did too much to open up the borders and all that. But being inhumane is not the right. We shouldn't be killing people.
Yeah, that's advancing the same false meme of how inhumane ICE is. But ICE under Obama made 3 times as many mistakes in terms of arresting American citizens than ICE is today. Yeah, John Lott wrote an excellent essay about it where he talked about how when you have any operation that involves millions of things going on, there's going to be mistakes made. It's inevitable. No one is perfect. During the Obama administrations, they made 3 times as many mistakes as the Trump administration.
Since you mentioned the Munich thing, which was wonderful to watch for a few reasons. One was Marco Rubio.
Oh.
What a brilliant statesmanship thing.
I have to admit, I think I underestimated him.
Oh, it was just fabulous. And of course that came from the Trump administration and all that. It was all proven all that. But him saying that, basically the West has to change without beating them with a hose like Trump did.
Well, actually, I think he's saying the West has to change, but it's more like the West has to restore what has been.
And we want to be a partner to you to help you because we care about you.
Yeah.
Versus you better get it done. And like Trump was a lot more forceful. And maybe it's a good cop, bad cop thing. I don't know. But it's the same message.
Right.
It was just really well done by Rubio. And at the same time, we got to see AOC without a script.
Oh gosh! Oh, it was almost embarrassing.
It was embarrassing.
But I approve of AOC getting out there and letting us see her in real time. That's good.
And
maybe we can have a Kamala Harris AOC ticket in 28.
She explained it though, that why she performed so badly. She said it was the fault of the right wing media asking trick questions or something. Basically, the questions were softballs.
I don't know. I mean, you're asking. So if you ask me, what are you going to do about Ukraine? I'm going to say that's not my job. It's the State Department. I'm not going to contradict the U.S. administration.
Which would be a good answer. But you shouldn't need 2 months of prep. She had 2 months of prep to get ready for this thing, and right out the bat, she didn't even know Venezuela was north of the equator. We got to take a break. We're done. I'll be back tomorrow. AM 560 KBLU.
Wind advisory in effect as this afternoon the winds will gust 20 to 30, maybe even